Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Education is the sector from where most complaints are received from the Ombudsman for Children's Office. Bullying, expulsion or suspension were among some of the most common issues complained about. Last year proved to be the busiest year for complaints since the establishment of the office. In its annual report for 2022, TUSLA also came under the spotlight with complaints including how they communicate with service users and their families, social workers and supports for families. Ombudsman for Children Dr Niall Muldoon says government needs to step up its games as families and children are being let down by inaction.
Children and families are finding that lots of services are letting them down in regards to cooperation between them. These are areas that the government have known about for a long, long time. Children like child poverty, homelessness. These issues have been around for the last 5-10 years, and anything that's been tried by the government has not succeeded. So we really need to step up the state needs to step up its game.
The dismissal of wonky fruit and veg from supermarket shelves is driving up food prices, according to the Irish Farmers Association. The IFA says having workers sort through wonky veg drives up input costs and adds to food waste. Vice Chair of the Oireachtas Committee on Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Senator Tim Lombard, says retailers shouldn't be allowed to dismiss fruit and vegetables that don't meet cosmetic standards as the price of food continues to rise. Donegal County Council is being urged to carry out repair works on a broken fence at a housing estate in Letterkenny. It's said to be facilitating antisocial behaviour as well as posing serious safety issues. The boundary fence at Cashel Park Estate was previously in place to protect against a large drop into nearby waste ground. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh is hopeful that work will be undertaken.
They basically said that they didn't fix fences as a rule, but where there was an issue with safety, that they could do so on a sort of one-off basis. So I took that as a positive answer, that they do intend to do something about it. And I feel if they go out there and look at it, they'll see that it's quite a serious problem and that it needs to be sorted, particularly from the safety point of view.
And finally, police in Strabane are appealing for information regarding a hit-and-run road traffic collision. The incident occurred at Asda Car Park on Friday afternoon last between 2 and 2:30pm. Anyone with information or dashcam footage is asked to contact police. And now for weather, it will be mainly dry with sunny spells and temperatures today will reach between 14 and 16 degrees with light to moderate northwest breezes. That's all for now. We'll be back with a news update and obituary notices at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Experience the power of 3-Home Broadband, the master of multitasking that lets Mum work from home, Dad stream his favourite show, and the kids play the latest games. All at the same time. Sweet. Get 3-Home Broadband free for the first 3 months and for only €39 per month after that. Plus, no setup costs. All in Ireland's fastest and most consistent 5G network. Visit in store or at 3.ie. 24-month minimum term. Speeds may vary based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence data Q3 to Q4 2022.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And good morning to you, just turning 5 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 16th of May 2023. Interesting story there in the news about wonky fruit and veg. I mean, would you be put off by a wonky carrot or a wonky cucumber? You don't see them around too much, do you? 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, by the way, to get involved in the programme today, to comment on what we're talking about, to raise your issues. Give us a call to an 07491 25,000. Caroline Orr, of course, as always, taking your calls, and Niamh working with us on the show as well. You can email comments at highlandradio.com. Shall we have a look at what's making the front of the newspapers and on some cases inside? Let's start with the Donegal Democrat. Donegal charities say food poverty is a growing issue in the county and is causing a disproportionate amount of ill health. Access, affordability and availability of health food in rural areas have been identified as challenges by charities, which say the situation is only going to get worse. The problem facing groups dealing with food inequality were raised at the Food Equality Forum this week. The event at the Regional Cultural Centre in Letterkenny on Wednesday was hosted by the HSC, Sláintecare Healthy Communities Programme and Donegal Food Response Network. The aim of the event was to share existing learning, identify models of good practice and develop a collaborative approach to addressing food inequality in Donegal. And we spoke yesterday on the show, in case you didn't hear it, to three ladies who were involved in providing food for people who can't afford food. And it was a sobering and eye-opening interview. Certainly was aware of what was going on, but certainly not on the scale that we were told it is from the coalface. It's available on our podcast. It's in the second hour, I believe, of yesterday's show, or you can watch it back, in fact, on my own Facebook page as well. But it really is an eye-opener. And after that piece, I believe there were some really quite generous donations to people who are helping to feed, a lot of them working people who can't afford to feed themselves because of the rising cost of living. So if any of you did respond to that appeal yesterday, I'm sure I can thank you on the charity's behalf. The Derry Journal, Gardaí have confirmed that a fire at a premises in Lisfannon, which was due to be developed for the use of Ukrainian refugees, was arson. Gardaí say they're continuing to investigate the incident, which was reported to them shortly before midnight on Thursday last, in which a premises was significantly damaged. The incident occurred at a premises within a business park in the Lisfannon area. Gardaí say they attended the scene at around 11:55 p.m. The fire was extinguished by local fire services. The premises, which Gardaí confirmed was unoccupied at the time of the fire, was significantly damaged. And you would have heard on the show yesterday, Peter Casey offering a €10,000 reward for any information which leads to arrests and convictions in relation to that arson attack. The Irish Times this morning, the Department of Immigration privately warned that officials were seeing a growing reluctance from some local authorities to accommodate more Ukrainian refugees in their areas due to pressures on services, according to an internal briefing. The government is scrambling to find shelter for 520 asylum seekers it's been unable to accommodate after anti-immigrant protesters targeted camps of homeless asylum seekers sleeping in tents in Dublin City in recent days. Minister for Children Roderick O'Gorman has said it is hoped many of the asylum seekers currently homeless will be offered accommodation this week. The department is due to open 4 new accommodation centres, mostly refurbished office buildings, within the next fortnight. 3 of the sites are in Dublin. 1 is in County Clare, as controversy over the County Clare premises. Locals down there at the moment are, depending on the reports you read, blockading or protesting at that premises. Reading on here, officials are also exploring the possibility of leasing barges to use as accommodation. However, one source said there was no expectation of any imminent move to use barges. In an internal briefing, the department reported a growing reluctance from some local authorities and communities to take more Ukrainian refugees into the localities. Now, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but they seem to be mixing up 2 stories here. One is the Ukrainian refugee situation, which I think some time ago the authorities in Donegal said that our services were maxed out, and the second is people looking for international protection, which is a different cohort of people as well. But the 2 stories seem to have been intermixed in this Irish Times article, unless I am misreading it. I suspect I'm not, but anyway. The Irish Independent tells us that European wine, beer and spirits makers are stepping up their actions to try to block Ireland's plans for labels and alcohol packaging linking drinks to cancer. They claim the proposals will damage the EU single market. Spirits Europe, a group representing small distillers and major alcohol producers, including Diageo and Pernod Ricard, has lodged an official complaint. It is asking the European Commission to open infringement procedure against Ireland over the labels between brewers of Europe, which represents EU beer makers in 29 countries, as well as the European Committee of Wine Companies, which acts on behalf of 7,000 wine producers, have also lodged complaints with the EU executive. I would imagine they're fearful that if these labels are introduced on Ireland, it'll be like the smoking ban. It'll be one European country after another. But do you think alcohol with proven links to cancer should have labelling on it pointing out those links, or is that something you don't want to see at all? Let us know. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000. Irish Daily Mail, Leo Varadkar said that there are not enough Gardaí on the streets to combat violent attacks on refugees, though later the Minister for Defence seemed to contradict him. But the Taoiseach said he was shocked and horrified at the burning of refugee tents in Dublin City and feels worried about further similar attacks happening. But hours later, as I mentioned, Acting Justice Minister Simon Harris appeared to dispute his party leader's comments. Now, Leo Varadkar sounds a little bit like, this is just an observation, all right, it's not a criticism, deflecting here, because I think there are some people out there that might argue that the reason people are on tents is A, because of our immigration policy, but B, also is arguably the government's failure to provide accommodation. That's why they ended up in tents on the street. That's why people were out protesting. That's why the Gardaí had to get involved, and that's why he said there weren't enough Gardaí. If there was enough housing, we wouldn't even be talking about this. So I think there's a bit of distraction going on here, a bit of look over there. Simon Harris appeared to dispute his party leader's comments. He said, "We can always do with more Gardaí, but I'm absolutely satisfied from talking to the Commissioner that he, to use his phrase, was operational or has operational integrity and is satisfied he can carry out the policing plans in place. We saw a very visible Garda presence over the weekend. We saw the public order unit deployed. We saw uniformed Gardaí deployed as well." So a slight difference of opinion, it seems, there. Staying with An Garda Síochána, Gardaí missed more than 75,000 days of duty last year after they were injured in the line of duty. These are figures published in today's Irish Daily Mirror. There were 20,807 days of absence caused by a malicious injury, with a further 20 days lost where a Garda was attacked off duty. More than 40,000 days were lost to an accidental injury that happened during work, while 6,822 days were taken following a traffic accident while working. Figures released under Freedom of Information show more than 235,000 days were lost to illness last year, the equivalent of 645 officers off sick on any given day. I don't know why the Freedom of Information request was put in for that information. It's hard to make sense of it. Maybe no surprise to you in the Sun today that a third of homeowners, and I think this is pretty conservative, a third of homeowners cannot afford to make their properties more energy efficient, a new report has revealed. However, a survey of over 1,000 adults found almost a quarter had recently improved their house to make it greener. And Savills Ireland found a further 23% of plans to carry out works that will cut energy bills over the next 12 to 24 months. Savills Beverly Enzor yesterday said, without doubt, any move that makes your home more energy efficient has a multitude of benefits. And it's perhaps something we're going to have to look at, because there are some rumblings in Europe and some legislation currently being worked on that would make it illegal for you to sell your property or to buy another if it didn't meet certain energy standards. What do you think about that? 2030, I think the target is it'd have to have a certain energy rating before you could actually even put it up on the market. But as I say, it's early doors on that, but it's coming down the tracks. And lastly, in the Irish Daily Star today, Taoiseach Leo Varadkar said he's spoken to his partner Matt Barrett about comments made on his Instagram about King Charles' coronation. He said it won't happen again, as Mr Varadkar agreed that the commentary provided by the cardiologist on a private Instagram account was irreverent. Mr Barrett apologised for the comments yesterday evening. He said that it was poor judgment and he unreservedly apologised for any offence caused. Very few Fine Gael TDs or senators were aware of the controversy, but some branded it silly. It was reported on Saturday that Mr Barrett had 350 Instagram followers. That number dropped to 270 last night. Miriam Lord reported in her Irish Times column on Saturday that Mr Barrett had posted several messages on Instagram while inside Westminster Abbey at King Charles's coronation on May 6th. When asked about the incident at a press conference in Limerick, the Taoiseach said that he had spoken to Mr Barrett about the posts. Matt is a private individual, my partner for over 7 years now, he said. It was some private messages sent to some friends on his private account. He never intended them to be public, but that happens sometimes. How silly are some people now? You know, who cares what he said about the royal family on his own private account, but he perhaps should know better given his profile. But he's a private citizen. But my word, to say possibly might become public, and it shouldn't. Well, it always does. Okay. Good morning to Charlie, Josephine, Annie, Marie O'Donnell and Anna, among those watching us live on our social media. Don't forget you can watch the show every single day on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch on your tablet, your phone, your smart TV. Most smart TVs now will have the YouTube app, and many of you have them, or on your Fire Stick. Just search Highland Radio Ireland. And you can also watch us across our Facebook pages and on our website. Just click Watch Live. We are right there too.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra Mountaintop Letterkenny, the 2022 C-Store National Off-Licence of the Year.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Local Enterprise Office Donegal is hosting a one-day Start Your Own Business boot camp in the Silver Tassie Hotel on Saturday the 27th of May from 9:30 to 5. The short one-day course will provide guidance and information on the key topics relevant to starting your own business. The course costs €50 and includes a light lunch, tea and coffee. For more information and to register, visit localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Not sure where to start with your smart meter? Sign up to a Home Electric Plus smart meter price plan from Electric Ireland to see how much energy your appliances are actually using. Track your usage monthly, daily or even hourly and get tips and advice on how to use less. It's a smart start to controlling your energy usage. To sign up, search Electric Ireland Home Electric Plus. Smart meter and online account required. Features available after 4 months. T's and C's apply. See electricireland.ie.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at
18 minutes past 9. Now, a petition has been launched to keep Father Paddy Dunn in his parish of Kilmacrennan. The community has been shocked at plans to move the very popular Father Paddy to another parish in Ballyshannon, and people have been urging others to speak about plans to move Father Dunn. Susan joins us on the programme. Hi, Susan.
Hello, Greg. How are you?
Thanks very much for joining us. Father Paddy Dunn obviously has become a very important part of Kilmacrennan and the wider Kilmacrennan area.
Indeed he has. On Saturday night when we got the news that he was leaving, I think Kilmacrennan, the tears running down like the linen. It was very sad. We don't want to lose him. We do not want to lose him. He's such a good priest. And we'll do our best. We can't do nothing more, but we're doing our best to try and keep him. Why? We also need a parish priest in Kilmacrennan. Mm-hmm. As Kilmacrennan is an old village, a very historical village. We've had priests all from the 1850. That's it's well over 150 years. And now I think, by the sound of it, we're going to lose a priest. We're going to lose our parish priest, this is not fair. I don't know. I'm just only talking from the heart.
No,
we just love Father Paddy.
And the reason this has come about is the bishop, as all bishops do tend to move clergy around from one parish to another from time to time. No replacement for Father Paddy has been announced at this point, Susan.
As far as I can gather, Father Paddy's going to a different parish in the county, and we're going to get nobody. Not even a priest will we have in the village. I think it's very sad. But the priest that is supposed to be the priest that is coming to Termon, is going to live in Termon, and the parish priest of Termon is living in Churchill. So we're going to be left with no priest. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very, very sad. Kilmacrennan, there's so much history to us. Cardinal Logue was, but we had a cardinal born in Kilmacrennan. St. Columba went to school in Kilmacrennan. We had priests down through the years. Unfortunately, we had a very dark period one time, and not so long ago. But since Father Dunn came along, everything has changed. The chapel is packed with people. They're so happy to see him, and he loves the children. Fair love him. The elderly love him. I just don't know why. Why is he doing this to us? It's very sad. I'm sure Bishop Allen is a very honourable man, and I'm sure he should think on the people of Kilmacrennan, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, and it's not just having a parish priest in the area, is it, Susan? Father Paddy has become an integral part of the area, a pillar in the community.
Of course, he's involved in everything. We have a group called the Young at Heart, and it's amazing what happened there. It was he who got us. There's a lot of people that never left the doors since the COVID, and he has them all out, and they're not afraid to come out anymore. And just because Father Paddy organised this Young at Heart, I'm only speaking as an elderly person, and there's the young people are the same. There's football, there's everything going on in Kilmacrennan, and Father Paddy just loves everybody. The children love him. And we don't want to lose him.
Yeah, and I think
we're going to plead with the bishop to try to keep him.
And I think too, maybe not everyone might realise that people feel this on a really very personal level. It's like losing a family member or losing a friend. The thought of losing Father Paddy. I'm not exaggerating in that regard. Some people will feel this incredibly personally.
Definitely not exaggerating in that. I can nearly swear on my bended knee here that the majority of people are sitting crying here this morning about thinking of losing Father Paddy Dunn. Not only that, his poor mother lives up the road, getting an elderly woman like myself. She lost her son last year. She doesn't want to lose another one, and a brother as well. And I mean, it's very unfair. Everything was going very well. Why has he got to go? Why don't they send Father McGeever to this parish or some other parish?
I suppose,
but anyway, that's only my personal opinion.
I understand, but I suppose, there are a couple of retirees as well, and there's not necessarily a conveyor belt of new priests coming through, and the bishop has to look at the area and try and provide the best coverage possible. And unfortunately, that's going to mean sometimes some tough decisions have to be made.
I know, hard decisions have to be made. I suppose it's not very fair. He has to make these decisions, but why picking a good man that we have that's doing so much for the parish? He's built up the parish. I would love you to come out to Kilmacrennan to the chapel on a Sunday to see the packed chapel.
Yeah.
And also to listen to the beautiful choir that he has organised. And all the young families that are coming now. And Greg, you remember the tragedy in Creasla?
Yes.
Who was there first? Our Father Paddy Dunn down helping Father John Joe. And he never left. I don't know. He has a heart of gold. I don't know how we're going to live without him. We need him. We have to keep him.
Right, and we're
going to appeal. We're going to appeal on the bishop's good nature to keep him.
Okay. And he's supposed to be moving, isn't he, to Kilbarron from the 24th of June. There's online petitions. Hundreds of people have signed them as well. Obviously, Susan, you're making your views known here on Highland Radio, and I presume there'll be physical petitions. The local parish are going to fight for Father Paddy. There's just no doubt about that.
Yeah. At the moment, there are 500 people who have signed this petition. So that goes to show you. And that's only in 2 days. And we're having a vigil here. Well, Greg, we're having a vigil here on Friday night at 9 o'clock. Candlelit vigil up at the chapel, outside the chapel. We're just devastated. We don't know what to do. We're pleading. We're desperate. We're pleading. And that's all. We don't want to lose our parish priest. Father Paddy Dunn is he's just like a light that came into Kilmacrennan. You have no idea how the feeling of Kilmacrennan was a few years ago. There was a very black cloud around here. Nobody was coming to mass. Everybody was. They just turned against their.
But everything changed. I guess you. I
Father
understand.
Paddy, sorry.
Yeah.
What did you say?
No, I was saying, and then Father Paddy came in, and everything changed, which is exactly the point you're making. Yeah.
And also, our neighbours, our non-Catholic neighbours, just Fairlawn, they are signing the petition as well. They're so sorry to lose them.
Okay,
so we're just pleading.
We're getting on to the. I mean, I think we all respect the difficult decisions the bishop has to make. So there's nothing personal here, but we're making contact with his office to see what he has to say on this. And if anyone else wants to get involved in the conversation, they can do so too. Susan, thank you very much for your very passionate contribution. I appreciate it.
And, would you announce, Greg, would you announce about the vigil on Friday night at 9 o'clock?
Right now. I will go. No problem, Susan. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Very much.
Okay. And just as Susan requested, a candlelit vigil will be held on Friday night at 9 p.m. outside the chapel in Kilmacrennan, and it is in a show of solidarity with Father Paddy Dunn. So I'm sure I can speak on Susan's behalf, and they want a really big turnout from the local community there to send that message. One more time, Friday night, this coming Friday, 9 p.m. outside the chapel in Kilmacrennan. The clergy appointments as follows. The very Reverend Cathal O'Farry, parish priest, Kilbarran Ballyshannon. He's retiring with the very Reverend Patrick Dunn, the parish priest of Kilmacrennan, to be the parish priest of Kilbarran, effective there from the 24th of June. The very Reverend Michael McKeever, parish priest Garton and Termon, to be, in addition, parish priest at Kilmacrennan. The Reverend Martin Chambers, chaplain at Letterkenny University Hospital, to be CC, Kilmacrennan and Termon. Resident in Termon, Reverend Francis Ferry, CC Mount Charles and Drummerone, to be chaplain at Letterkenny University Hospital, and the very Reverend Seamus Daggins to be AP Mount Charles and Drummerone. Okay, a bit complicated, but anyway, that's the information there. We got an email to say, hi, Caroline. I'm just forwarding correspondence I received from Carndonagh Community School regarding a change of uniform. Now, in a time of economic stress for families, this school decides to change uniform from uniforms which we had purchased in good faith last year and the year before in the hope that they would hopefully last a few years. Also, they are not allowed to buy any generic options which could be so much more cost effective. I could buy a skirt for my daughter for €10 rather than the €45 to €55 suggested. The Department of Education states that in all instances, schools should allow generic options if possible. Indeed, they should. Obviously, CCs are not going with this. Am I the only parent that's outraged given the current economic climate? Now, just bear in mind, yesterday we were talking about hundreds upon hundreds of people in this county that simply can't afford to put food on the table. So to mark the 50th anniversary of Carndonagh Community School, we plan to update the school uniform. Following a meeting with the Central Parents Committee, so, I mean, some parents were on board, from next August, we're introducing a new jumper for senior students in transition year, 5th year and 6th year. We are also introducing a standardised skirt for all year groups. All students can continue to wear grey school trousers. We're introducing a standardised skirt for those who choose to wear a skirt. You now have a chance to pick which skirt and jumper you prefer. With the growing trend for sustainability and the move away from fast fashion, we've chosen a skirt with an adjustable slider and so on and so forth, okay? But that's going to cost people hundreds of euro. And one listener says there is no generic option. Do you agree with that move by Carndonagh Community School, particularly at this time? 086 60 25,000 now. Delighted to welcome onto the programme Bishop Alan McGuckian, Bishop of Raphoe. Bishop, thanks so much for your time this morning.
Not at all. Thank you,
I think you may not have heard my conversation with Susan, but we both recognise that particularly with retirees and perhaps not a huge influx of new priests, it's a difficult task you face in providing adequate cover, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, let me say first, I know from the position I'm in how painful it is for a community to lose a much-loved priest, and indeed painful for priests to move on. And in many ways, the outpouring of sadness that we're hearing it's a tribute both to the priest and in other cases many other priests, and to the people and the relationship that they have built up. Then there's my position. I'm responsible for a whole diocese of 33 parishes and something like 50 church areas, and the priests join me in that responsibility. And so like while we're men give themselves heart and soul, and they do in the parish they're in, at a certain stage they have to move on. And listen, I know from my own life, this is not easy either on the priest who's moving, or on the people he's leaving behind. I do not underestimate that. But like as I say, it's a testament to the richness of the relationships that our priests and parish communities have. But then, I have to invite people also, and maybe now in the moment of the grieving is not the time to do that, to look forward to the next stage. And, the Lord provides. That has been my experience all my life, and it's what I call people to. Father Dunn will be made very welcome where he is going, and I know that the priests who are going to be ministering, and there's two of them, the parish priest and the curate who are going to be ministering in Kilmacrennan, will be welcome too, and there'll be great richness in that as well.
Is this part of the process, part of priesthood, part of being a bishop, that perhaps even someone who's done very well, and the people of Kilmacrennan perhaps will feel blessed to have Father Paddy for 12 years, but that he has work to do elsewhere?
To do elsewhere.
Is that how it's...
It is. And I have seen it again and again where something great has happened in a parish when a priest has been there, and then he has to move on, and there's a great loss for him, and it's almost hurtful to say it, but a year later you find great things happening somewhere else, and also great things happening back where he was. There's pain, and there is pain in this for everybody. It's part of living, and it's certainly part of the priesthood. And just that thing, as I said, the priests have to join me as bishop in caring for the whole diocese, and one area's loss then is another's gain, and another, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Bishop, can I put it to you just directly, because it might help to clarify things for everybody this morning. Obviously, there's a massive outpouring of love for Father Paddy. Hundreds and hundreds, 500 odd people and more have signed an online petition. We heard from Susan there that there's going to be a candlelit vigil on Friday night at 9 p.m. But I'm sensing from some of the language, it's almost tough love language that you're having to leave, if I'm not miscategorising it to you, sorry, that this is a decision that has been made and Father Paddy's going along with it, you have to stick with it. And that's just the where we're at. And as I said, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if we can, while we have, you just get absolute clarity in that regard.
Yes, Greg, that is... I know it is painful for people, and clearly I hear all those voices. But yes, it is. It's a decision that I have made that is going forward.
Caller believes that the area now does not have a parish priest, that your decision's effectively amalgamating Kilmacrennan and Termon, and they're just looking for you to sort of clarify that if possible. Well,
yes, the one parish priest is parish priest of both communities. There are two priests where there were two priests, so Kilmacrennan will be very, very well served. And I do not want to resile from that. I want to be very clear that the provision I am making, and this is in a situation where we have less and less priests. There's no doubt about that. Thank God we have young men in seminary, and there is a future for our diocese, but we have less priests. But in the appointments that I am making, both Kilmacrennan and Termon are being very well served at a time when this is not easy to do.
What is the process, Bishop, just to give us an insight into when you decide that you have to move people around? Is it normally triggered by retirements, or do you look at different areas and think, well, that person maybe has some work to do there and this person can continue that work there?
Of course. Listen, there can be, in many ways, these are personnel decisions, the same as personnel decisions will be made in any other area. But there's a discernment involved. What the Lord is calling us to at a particular time, and yes, but retirements are a part of it.
And I'm sure sometimes a priest might choose to retire if he doesn't want to move. I mean, that's part of management as well, I imagine.
That could happen, but listen, priests are... they have made a promise of obedience, every one of us. As a bishop, I've had a man put his hands in mine and promise obedience to me and my successors, and it's not obedience to the bishop; it's obedience to God. Like, this is a very there's a very serious spiritual, faith-based theology behind the commitment of the priest. And we're all part of that. Yes. And I suppose, and listen, in many ways, that is a key thing that makes these things so important, and ultimately so important for people. You know, like there's the tremendous relationship that there has been there in Kilmacrennan has been often it's a human reality, but it's a faith-based reality, and a big part of the faith of the priest is his commitment to obedience. That's ultimately obedience to God.
Okay, and I suppose too the congregation or the collective of individuals, I suppose, have to have a bit of faith in your decisions and the reason for which you've made them. They don't have to make that commitment like a priest might, but I presume you ask them to sort of maybe...
I do.
To trust the tough decisions that you have to make.
But listen, you don't lay that on. I mean, you're asking me these questions, and I have to answer them honestly. But you don't ask, telling people that it'll be all right sometime in the future is not the best answer at a moment when I recognise people are really, really, really sad and hurting, and I understand that, and I want to honour that more than anything else.
And very finally, I'm going to get texts in, and I think one or two already have, in terms of, consulting the people. But I don't know how you could, given the area that you covered and you outlined it right at the top, it would be almost impossible, wouldn't it, to have a level of consultation? And that's not really how it's done either.
No, as bishop of this big area, I am also calling people to a sense of commitment to the church, which is a bigger thing than a local area. We all experience the church in our local area. Yes, we do. I know we do, and that's a great thing. Like, ultimately, we all experience the domestic church in our own home, but then we're part of a bigger church beyond our own home, and our parishes and people in our parishes are part of a bigger church of the Diocese of Raphoe, and then we're part of a bigger church that is the universal church, and that calls us beyond ourselves. And then, like, somebody like me, that in a certain sense is in the middle, is of necessity calling people outside and beyond themselves. And if I was constantly overruled by a local concern, it would be impossible for me to run a diocese.
Okay, that's everything clear. Sorry if some of the questions were clumsy, but I just wanted to cover everything that might come in whilst you're here. Bishop Alan McGuckian, Bishop of Raphoe, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
Take care, okay. Thank you very much. God bless you too. Bishop Alan McGuckian there. So unfortunately, we have absolute clarity for you. It's perhaps not the news that you might have wanted to hear, but you heard from the Bishop himself there that he has had to make this decision, and it's a decision he has to stick with. And it's a decision because of that commitment obligation. I think the phraseology is that the priests have to go along with. Loads of comments on that. Shall I just run through them now? I might as well, hadn't I? Definitely respect the tough decision the bishop faces, says this listener. What about engagement with parishioners, though? What about respect for their wishes too? And you heard the direct response to your comment there from the bishop. Father Paddy is a wonderful priest, says this listener. He's a friend to everyone. We are all heartbroken at his decision. We've been given a curate who could have been given the parish of Ballyshannon. It's terrible. We will have no parish priest. Well, you'll have a parish priest covering Kilmacrennan and Termon with the CC. And as you heard from the bishop there, he feels that Father Paddy might have some work to do in the parish of Ballyshannon. Another, we lost a parish priest in the parish of Burt, Inch and Fawn. Not a thing we could do about it. Not enough of priests. Father Bradley is our PP now, based in Buncrana. That comes in from Kathleen. Glen Swilly has been neglected for years, so I understand the feelings of the Kilmacrennan parish, says another listener. Another here, I'd like to see Father Paddy Dunn stay. He was a great comfort and support to everyone in this community and further afield during the Creaslot tragedy with Father John Joe and Father McGarvey. Good luck to Father Paddy Dunn, but it's not a slap. Is it not a slap in the face by the parishioners or to the parishioners, to his replacements, Father McGeever and Father Martin Chambers, who are also fine priests and who now may be reluctant to take up their new posts in the face of this petition? I don't think that's the spirit of the petition. I think that this is more of an outpouring of love and appreciation to Father Paddy Dunn than it is a slight on anyone else's characters. And as you heard from the bishop there, he's confident that in time something good will come from these decisions that he's having to make. Another, listening to the woman on speaking about Father Dunn, I was so sorry to hear the sad news. Also, I don't know why they have to take them away from the parish after such a long time. Every Sunday I enjoyed going to Mass in Cool. He's such a cool priest. Always put a smile on your face. He'll be sadly missed. Why doesn't he bring home Father Joseph Bridie, is it? And Father Eamon McLaughlin, two amazing priests. Another, Susan, as much as I support the petition to keep Father Paddy, I don't believe the bishop will change his mind. And we heard that directly from him there. He didn't capitulate to similar petitions or requests from other parishes. And on they go. Carol's on line one with us now. Hi, Carol.
Hiya.
How are you getting on?
I'm not too bad. After listening to the bishop, and no fault to any of his wording, because obviously he has a tough decision to be made. I am from Kilmacrennan, and I've grown up around Kilmacrennan. I've been going to Mass for a long time in Kilmacrennan, and basically when Father Dunn came, there was very little young people going to Mass. Very little turnout from young people. I'd have been 17, 18 at the time. And since he came, the crowd of Mass now, I heard Susan earlier online, the crowds at Mass, that has to be credit to who Father Dunn is. Mm-hmm. That has to be. And I know, at the end of the day, they are called where they're meant to be, and this, but I feel like he's more than a parish priest. He's a valued member of our community and our parish. Mm-hmm. And I think personally, I'm one of the ones behind the petition. And I think personally, if we don't give this a good fight, then it wouldn't be worth our. He deserves all the efforts. Mm-hmm.
And you are a young person, and you were a particularly young person when Father Paddy came to the area, and you're saying he seemed to have the ability to reach younger people.
Oh, and he still does. All the school children, and Susan said that herself, all the school children. He has such a way about him, and I mean, I suppose all priests do. I'm not favouritising anybody, but Father Paddy has such a way about him that you don't just see him as a priest, you see him as one of your own, He's a pillar of the community. And, yeah, he has helped so many people. We've had a lot of grief in Kilmacrennan, and there's been a lot of tragedy. And he's helped each family at one or other time. And I just think it would be so sad to see him go. I really, really plead with the bishop.
The bishop seems very clear that he's had to make these decisions, and he's guided in his decisions as well by his faith, presumably, and he feels
100.
Well, I'm not saying he feels it, but you had 12 years with Father Paddy. Maybe he's calling you elsewhere. Does there come a point whereby, Carol, and I mean this with absolute respect, and just talking to a text from a listener earlier, that this decision is made, and maybe we should start thinking now about ensuring that the replacements feel welcome in their roles that they'll have to take up at the end of next month?
Oh, I wouldn't want any priest coming here feeling unwelcome. I will be honest. I think there's going to be a lot of resentment and a lot of anger. Initially, you can already feel the tension there because, Father Paddy's so well loved. So I think there's going to be that aspect of it. It won't take away from the new priests being welcomed, but there's also the hand as well that we are our own parish. We want to remain that. We want to stay as Kilmacrennan parish. We don't want to be linked, and that's no offence to any other parish, but we want to remain our own and have our own parish priest. And I think there's a lot of confusion in the sense of we don't have that definite for sure that there's going to remain a parish priest in Kilmacrennan.
Well, the bishop himself said, well, I believe the parochial house in Kilmacrennan is being knocked, is it not? Someone mentioned that to me. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I believe it to be true. But, the bishop himself also did say Kilmacrennan and Termon are effectively being merged now.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that as well.
Well, the bishop said that, so that's...
We're a bigger town, and I think, there's just a lot of opinions, and I think it's unfortunate where we're at the minute.
Yeah. Do you think there'll be a big turnout on Friday evening for the candlelit vigil?
100%. I would 100%. Yeah, the petition has completely took off, and that speaks volumes. That is the people saying, we want Father Paddy. He's so valued. So, as the petition doesn't say it, the turnout on Friday night should. And I would really encourage everybody to step out with us on Friday night in solidarity.
Right, Carol, well spoken. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Take care of yourself.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
If you're 70 or over, or have a weak immune system, it's time for your spring COVID-19 booster vaccine. Your spring booster will top up your immunity against COVID-19 for the months ahead, protecting you from serious illness or needing to go to hospital. You will be invited for another booster in the autumn to top up your protection for the winter months. Spring boosters are available until the end of May, so don't delay. Contact your local participating GP or pharmacy. Call our team in HSC Live on 1800 700 700 or visit hsc.ie to make an appointment at a HSC vaccination centre. From the HSC.
Have you started your electric journey? Unlock electric at McKinley Motors during Volvo Open Week, May 15th to 20th, and experience our award-winning recharge range of plug-in hybrid and fully electric cars. If you place an order before May 20th, you'll receive a complimentary Volvo service plan covering your first 3 services. Start your electric journey with us and find out more about our exclusive offers at volvocast.ie. Terms and conditions apply.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas, Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Okay, now let's get to some of your comments here. I must say Father McKeever and Father Chambers are equally loving men, and may God bless them in their work. Another listener says Paddy is a good man, but it will mean people. Sorry, Paddy's a good man, but it will get mean of people to keep him when he can do the same good elsewhere. I understand what you're saying. Would that not be a good thing? So what they're saying effectively is that he can continue his good work in a different area. God bless Father Paddy Dunn, everybody's friend, young and old. Same happened in our parish, and most people never went back to Mass, says a listener. Another, we have a grumpy priest who we would only love would get moved, and a new priest come to our area to breathe new life into our community. Why does some priests not ever get moved? Another, I don't agree that a church leader should feel overruled rather than working collaboratively with parishioners during periods of huge change, as any good leader would do. But if you imagine, if you're making 6 moves, you'd have to consult with the departure of one, you'd have to consult with the arrival of another, and so on and so forth. And next thing you know, it becomes some sort of a popularity contest for the popular priests. I can imagine that would just... and I'm not taking sides on this either. I just can imagine that might be very, very difficult. Well said, Susan. We don't want to lose Father Paddy, and it's so sad for him and his family as well. Another, are the parish showing any consideration for the incoming priests? Listening to their views, it will be difficult for him to go where he feels he's unwanted. Priests are human as well. I would hope that the priest that is due to come in would understand that it's not motivated by any disrespect for him. That it's just an outpouring of love for Father Paddy Dunn. A caller says that the bishop's decision is detrimental to the parish. If Father Paddy Dunn goes, not only will we lose the younger generation in the church, but we will lose others also when we're trying to encourage more people to come to the chapel. Caller says that it's not that she will not go to Mass, but she will go elsewhere. We need to make Mass to be a loving, welcoming environment, and Father Paddy Dunn provides that. I'm sure the priest coming in will do the same and continue his good work, and maybe there's a job of work to be done to bring younger people back to the church around Ballyshannon. As I say, that's not a judgment or whatever, but maybe that's part of the process. What about the priest in our town, says this listener, who after umpteen attempts to move him is still there after threatening to hand back his collar if he's shifted elsewhere. I'm not sure who they're referring to there. If the people in Kilmacrennan were to boycott the chapel until Father Paddy is allowed to stay, the bishop might rethink. Another, what will the bishop do now when people stop going to Mass? It's not right, says another. Okay, I'm not a huge Mass goer myself, but is it not the house of God that people are drawn to practice to partake in the Mass rather than the actual priests themselves. Well, I can tell that bishop that people power is brilliant, and he will soon see, because our parish, the same happened, and the people in their 40s, 50s never went back to Mass. So money-wise, the parish lost out. Another, I thought the priests accepted their new posts. Yes, indeed, they did. They have. They're obliged to do so. Just wondering, did anyone ask Father Paddy how he feels about leaving? But I think we got a good insight into the process. From the bishop, in that there is a commitment that is made. There is a promise that is made. And he has to make those decisions, and it kind of is, it really goes back to the very basics of priesthoods and the relationship with the bishop and all. Another says, change is change. It's not fair to stop the process. When a parish gets used to their clergy, they don't like to see change, but unfortunately that's life. Let another parish benefit from Father Paddy. That's my view. Perhaps the regular clerical changes contribute to the lack of young people taking up priesthood. Change is good, but not for everyone. I personally can't imagine not being able to create a forever home and feel part of a community and not just be passing through. Another, I totally agree with Susan. Young and old are going to miss him so much. Eugene Green has caused carnage to the community. Can we not continue in a little with peace, is effectively what they are saying. I saw someone messaged in, and it was, we have it up on our social media on Instagram. En route to work this morning at 3 a.m. near Lurgy Bracken Letterkenny, I witnessed what I believe small alien ships, about 50 or 60. They were all in a line and flying lower than a plane. I can tell you exactly what they are. They are Elon Musk's broadband satellites passing over Ireland yesterday. They are all in a line. There's thousands of them up there. So that's what you saw. Unfortunately, it wasn't aliens, because they might come down and help us. But no, it's Elon Musk's satellites. His Starlink, isn't it? Starlink, yeah. They're all in a line, in a perfect line, orbiting the Earth. They are higher than planes, but they're in the lower part of space. Sorry, just a few more coming in here on the Father Paddy situation. Hi, Greg. I'll not sign a petition simply because I feel that listening to Father Dunn on Sunday last, that he's made up his mind to go and obey his bishop's wishes, and he kind of has to. The petition won't work, as this bishop likes to use his authority and listen to no one's opinion. Same thing happened in Falcarra a number of years ago, and the bishop, in fairness, is unapologetic in that he has to make decisions. Aquila says, not from Termon Parish, however, during lockdown and at present, I do know of so many people from other parishes who watch and attend Father Dunn's Mass. Please keep him locally, as the parish changes have a negative impact on attendance. And I'm just going to stick with this to bring us up to 10 here now. To give hope to those people, the people of Stranorlar were devastated when Father John Joe Duffy was moved to Creasla. In hindsight, the people there were going to need him more than we did. Everything happens for a reason. And that is an incredibly strong point there, in that we do know Father John Joe was heavily involved in any community that he's in, and was a pillar in the Twin Towns area, within the community, and what have you. He was moved to Creasla, and the listener makes an amazing point in that how badly was he needed, and the fact that he was there, how important was it? Everything happens for a reason, they believe. Back after the news and obituary notices.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Hi, David Keeling here. At Keelings, we love to work in harmony with Mother Nature, which includes protecting our little friends, the bees. This is the 3rd year of our Keelings Great Rewilding Initiative, helping to create natural habitats for pollinators to flourish. Look out for our Great Rewilding punnets in store to claim your free native Irish wildflower seed pack, or visit keelingsgreatrewilding.ie for more details. Keelings, love to grow.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hello, I'm David Foley, medical herbalist. Are you suffering with stress, anxiety, insomnia? Then ask for Irish Botanica Peace and Calm, a traditional herbal remedy. Irish Botanica Peace and Calm has a naturally relaxing effect, ideal for stress, insomnia, jet lag, and pre-exam anxiety. Call us a natural way, Letterkenny Shopping Centre for more information.
Skullcolumkill and Letterkenny invite the community to come along for a look around their new school building this Thursday the 18th. Refreshments will be served and everyone is welcome between 5:30 and 7:30.
Good morning. Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty with the news at 10 o'clock. Bishop of Rafo says he understands the pain of parishioners in Kilmacrennan who are set to lose a popular priest. As part of a number of clerical changes announced by Bishop Alan McGuckian in the diocese, parish priest Father Dunn is due to take up the role of parish priest in Kilbarn on June 24th. When the move was first announced, there was huge disappointment in the Kilmacrennan area, with the petition set up in a bid to retain Father Dunn, with a candlelight vigil also planned for Friday evening. Bishop McGuckian told today's 9 till noon show that the response from the community is a testament to the relationship between Father Dunn and them.
I know from the position I'm in how painful it is for a community to lose a much loved priest, and indeed painful for priests to move on. And in many ways, the outpouring of sadness that we're hearing it's a tribute both to the priest and to the people and the relationship that they have built up.
The GRA says Gardaí can't respond properly to anti-immigration protests as policing is in crisis. It's after violent protests against migrants in Dublin over the weekend. Meanwhile, demonstrators are currently using cars and tractors this morning to block road access to a hotel being used for asylum seekers in Inch in County Clare. President of the Garda Representative Association, Donegal-based Garda Brendan O'Connor, says Gardaí don't have the resources to tackle these issues.
If the units that have been deployed are young, inexperienced Gardaí, a lot of them not even trained to drive to get there urgently, no public order training in relation to tactics ever, trying to manage crisis situations as they emerge, it's just simply not a sustainable way to police.
Education is the sector from where most complaints are received from the Ombudsman's for Children's Office. Bullying, expulsion or suspension were among some of the most common issues complained about. Last year proved to be the busiest year for complaints since the establishment of the office. In its annual report for 2022, TUSLA also came under the spotlight with complaints including how they communicate with service users and their families, social workers and supports for families. Ombudsman for Children Dr Niall Muldoon says government needs to step up its games as families and children are being let down by inaction.
Children and families are finding that lots of services are letting them down in regards to cooperation between them. These are areas that the government have known about for a long, long time. Children like child poverty, homelessness. These issues have been around for the last 5-10 years, and anything that's been tried by the government has not succeeded. So we really need to step up the state needs to step up its game.
Fuel prices have fallen again. The latest price monitor from the AA shows petrol prices are on average €1.57 per litre, down over 1% on April. Diesel prices fell by 2.6% in the month of an average to €1.47 a litre. However, the decreases will be short-lived. Government duty on fuel, which was cut last year, is due to rise again from June 1st. The MICA Action Group have shared a post to social media of their most recent information regarding final rates per square metre for homeowners affected by defective blocks. It follows a meeting with Housing Minister Dara O'Brien. However, they say they are still waiting confirmation on final draft figures. With more, here's Michaela Clark.
A follow-up meeting between the MICA Action Group and government officials was due to take place to inform the group of the final rates per square metre. However, that has not yet taken place. The MICA Action Group have shared the latest information they have received, but urge the public that they do not have confirmation as to whether the figures are the final draft rates. There are options available for a demolition and rebuild and partial rebuild. A breakdown of the figures are available on our website, highlandradio.com.
The dismissal of wonky fruit and veg from supermarket shelves is driving up food prices, according to the Irish Farmers Association. The IFA says having workers sort through wonky veg drives up input costs and adds to food waste. Vice Chair of the Oireachtas Committee on Agriculture, Food and the Marine, Senator Tim Lombard, says retailers shouldn't allow dismissed fruit and vegetables that doesn't meet cosmetic standards as the price of food continues to rise. Looking now for weather, it'll be mainly dry with sunny spells and temperatures. Well, today will reach between 14 and 16 degrees. The obituary notices this Tuesday morning, May 16th. The death has taken place of Roisin Wilson Shallon, New Park Gardens, Moville. You're welcome to pay your respects at her home today from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. and tomorrow from 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. Roisin's funeral mass will take place on Thursday at 11 a.m. in St Mary's Church, Ballybrack, Moville, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has occurred of John Hamilton, 20 Ballymacult Terrace, Letterkenny, and formerly of Trentaboy, Drumkeen. He is reposing at 1 Ballybow, Glencar, Letterkenny. Funeral mass will take place at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, with cremation to take place at a later date in Lakelands Crematorium, Cavan. Funeral mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv/Letterkenny. Family time, please, from 11 a.m. until 11 p.m. The death has occurred of Mary McGeehan, Mina Tinney, Fintown. Mary's remains are reposing at her home. Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning in St Columkille's Chapel, Fintown, with burial afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Funeral Mass can be viewed on St Columkille's Chapel Facebook page. The death has occurred of Bridget Bison Boner, ní Friel Callancore Drumkeen, formerly of Glenswilly, reposing at her family home. Funeral from there today for 12 noon Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Drumkeen, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The death has taken place of Catherine Hepburn, ní Kennedy, Mill Street, Ballindrate. Remains are reposing at her home. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 10:25 a.m. for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlog at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Requiem Mass can be viewed at clonleeparish.com. The death has taken place of Rose McCann, James's Street, Moville, ní McKinney, Buta, Lekamy. Rose's remains are reposing at her home with family time, please, before her funeral this morning. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 a.m. in St Pius X Church, Moville, followed by burial in Ballincray Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to Moville Day Centre, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Kathleen McHugh, ní McMenamin, 69 Castlefin Park, Castlederg, reposing at the family home. Funeral from there this morning at 10:30 for 11 Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Castlederg, with burial afterwards in the graveyard adjoining St Patrick's Church, Ahiyarn. The Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Okay, welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Good morning if you are just after joining us. Coming up very shortly, stay right where you are. We've Community Garda information for you, where Garda Grania will be joining us with the very latest appeals and information from An Garda Síochána before you see them anywhere else. So stay tuned for that. That's live. Don't forget you can watch that also. And at around about 10:30 too, we'll have coverage of an emerging, quite disturbing story coming out of Buncrana. Some footage that we've been forwarded of, which appears to be a very serious attack on refugee accommodation. So stay tuned for that. That's coming up, and it is something that's going to end up being a really big story nationally. This I would be very surprised if it isn't, given the nature of the footage that I've seen. But we're just fact-checking a few things, obviously, before we bring that to you. But as I say, the eyes of the country, if this turns out to be what it appears to be, are going to be very much focused on this part of the world, I would suggest. And it's really quite clear footage as well, it has to be said. Right, what shall I do? Because I have seemed to mess up my ad break. I have an ad break to take before the bingo numbers. So what I'll do is I'll do that, and then it clears the decks for Community Garda information and the other stuff that we have to cover. So stay right where you are. There is a quick ad break, and then the bingo numbers will be coming to you, okay? Good luck if you're playing after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Dunstore's Double Savers makes midweek meals simple and affordable. Step 1. Pan fry some Dunstore's Irish beef strips, just $3.49. Step 2. Prepare your sticky jasmine rice, only 79¢. Step 3. Add your broccoli, peppers, mushroom and 90-cent black bean sauce to the Walker pan. Step 4. Enjoy your tasty beef stir-fry. Shrink your grocery bill even more with our 5 off 25 grocery vouchers. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Experience the power of 3 Home Broadband, the master of multitasking that lets Mum work from home, Dad stream his favourite show, and the kids play the latest games. All at the same time. Sweet. Get 3 Home Broadband free for the first 3 months, and for only €39 per month after that. Plus, no setup costs. All in Ireland's fastest and most consistent 5G network. Visit in store or at 3.ie. 24-month minimum term. Speeds may vary. Based on analysis by Ookla, Speed Test Intelligence data Q3 to Q4 2022.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 16th of May. You're playing on the brown sheet. The reference number is S17. It's game number 20. The numbers are 33, 75, 61, 43, 35, 53, 32, 86, 38, and finally 13. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Shop LK at Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. New, fresh colours in women's sportswear from Nike and Under Armour. Get that new look with some bright colours. Quarter zips with t-shirts and fitness bottoms. Match it up with some new arrivals in our footwear for women. Brooks, Hoka and On Running gives you a unique comfort sensation. View our new arrivals. Click on bmcsports.ie for your free delivery.
Are you looking for a safe and secure way to store your belongings? Look no further than Space Hub. We offer high-quality new insulated containers that you can rent or buy. Keep the container in our secure yard or have it delivered to your own property. Contact us today to learn more about our container rental and storage services. Call Martin at Space Hub now on 04871 878077 for more details.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127. The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91260025.
Okay, it is Tuesday the 16th of May, 10:15, and it's time for the latest edition of Community Garda Information, and we're joined in studio by Garda Grania Doherty. Grania, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Good morning, Greg.
Right, a bit to get through, so we'll get straight into it. And an appeal for information in relation to criminal damage in Lisfannon.
Yeah, so this incident has been subject to quite a lot of media coverage over the past number of days. So Gardaí in Buncrana, they're investigating a criminal damage incident. This occurred at Lisfannon, Buncrana on Thursday the 11th of May. So at 11:45pm, Gardaí were alerted to the fact that a building was on fire at that location, and of course the fire services attended the scene. They managed to extinguish the fire. Thankfully nobody was inside or hurt. Substantial damage was caused to the building itself. So this fire is believed to have been started deliberately. We appeal to anybody who has a dash cam and who may have travelled on the main road into Buncrana from the Derry direction, the R238, or indeed within the general area off Ludden, Lisfannon on the 11th of May between 11pm and midnight. To make that footage available to Gardaí, just drop the footage into the station and the Gardaí will look after it from there, go through the footage. And we appeal to anybody who observed any suspicious activity in that area on the date in question between those times. We would like to hear from them, no matter how small or insignificant they feel that information might be. We'd like to hear from them. So any relevant information can be forwarded to the guards in Buncrana on 932 0540, and as always the Garda confidential line can be contacted on 1800 666 111.
Okay, now criminal damage in Letterkenny this time.
Yeah, so this criminal damage happened at Leck Cottages there in the Old Town area of Letterkenny on Saturday the 13th of May. So at approximately 11:10pm, or shortly after that, Gardaí had received reports at that time that there were a number of youths, 3 youths was a report that we received. They were throwing bottles at houses in that area, at the windows at the houses. So unfortunately the window of one of these houses was broken and it had been struck by a bottle. So when the Gardaí arrived, the youths were gone. So we're just appealing to residents in that area, road users in that area, anybody who may have seen these 3 youths in that area on foot, if they can provide an accurate description or any description of them indeed, or if anybody was in that area with a dash cam who thinks that they may have captured these 3 youths on foot, we would ask them to contact us also in Letterkenny on 9167 100.
Okay, and sticking with criminal damage, this time 2 instances in Dunlow.
Yeah, so these 2 recent acts of criminal damage within the same area, actually very close proximity to each other, these 2 incidents. So between 6pm on Tuesday the 9th of May and 10am on Thursday the 11th of May, damage was caused to the door at the community centre in the Cushlocka area. So the door handle was broken off. No access was gained to the building. And then between 11pm on Wednesday the 10th of May and 7am on Thursday the 11th of May, a resident in the area of Cushlocka heard a bang during the night. In the morning then they discovered that a small hole, it's quite unusual, a small hole had been pierced or made in their front door, but access wasn't gained to their property either. So we're appealing to anybody, the Cushlocka area, Dunlow, if anybody seen any sort of suspicious activity in that general area between Tuesday May 9th and Thursday May 11th, to make contact with Gardaí in Milford on 9153060.
Okay, and Carndonagh this time, another incident of criminal damage.
Yeah, these Gardaí received a report that a resident in the Ballylosky Road in Carndonagh, they had left their bin out, as we all do, for collection. The night of the 9th of May, their bin was left out for collection the following morning. So on the morning then of the 10th of May at 6:15am, the neighbour came in and woke that resident to say that her bin was on fire at the roadside. So the bin was totally destroyed as a result of this fire. So we're appealing to anybody who may have travelled on the Ballylosky Road between 5:45am and 6:15am that morning, who had a dash cam, or anybody who might have noticed anybody on foot or any activity that seemed untoward on that road, on the Ballylosky Road area, to make contact with Gardaí in Buncrana on 9320540.
Now, Gardaí in Letterkenny are investigating an assault that took place on the 14th.
Yeah, and unfortunately this is quite a common style of an appeal. You know, every week we have assaults of some variety, unfortunately, so this week's no different. This assault occurred at Lower Main Street, Letterkenny, in the early hours of Sunday the 14th of May. So in and around 3am to 4:45am this happened at Lower Main Street. One man is believed to have been assaulted by another man at that location. This man sustained injuries, none of which are believed to be life-threatening in nature. We ask anybody who may have witnessed this assault at Lower Main Street to contact Gardaí in Letterkenny on 9167100. And as always, again, dashcam footage is sought. So if anybody travelled down Lower Main Street who had a dashcam, we'd appreciate if they would contact us also and make that footage available to us.
Okay, investigations into a road traffic collision in Dunfanaghy continue.
Yeah, so Gardaí are investigating this road traffic collision occurred in the area of Kildara, Dunfanaghy, on Sunday the 14th of May. This happened in around 7:30pm. So a driver had been travelling on a local or a back road or a local road between Kildara and Dunfanaghy when an oncoming vehicle, a silver Volkswagen with a possible partial registration of 08SO, struck their vehicle. The driver of this Volkswagen didn't remain at the scene. They travelled onwards. The collision occurred near to where the pump house is located. So the area in which the collision occurred is approximately 3 kilometres outside Dunfanaghy, in the area of Kildara. So we're appealing to road users again with a dashcam who may have travelled on that stretch of road on Sunday past between 7:15pm and 7:45pm to make the footage available to Gardaí. If anybody has any relevant information in relation to this incident, they can contact Gardaí in Milford on 9153060.
All right, it's a busy week next week because it is Community Engagement Week and a lot happening.
Yeah, so National Community Engagement Week. So Monday starts Monday the 22nd and ends on Friday, May 26th. So again, in Garda Síochána, we're partnering up with the Irish Farmers Association and the Department of Justice Ireland and other key stakeholders from the National Rural Safety Forum. And this is an attempt to strengthen community engagement across Ireland. So throughout next week, from the 22nd to the 26th, events will be held nationwide, across Donegal and also nationwide, for residents just to meet with their local Gardaí, to learn about rural safety, crime prevention and security techniques, and for them to discuss issues that are important to them. Just a meet and greet, really, if they want to come in and discuss any issues that they have or want advice. So there are daily themes. You know, each day has its own theme, and these themes are focused on the theme of rural living, so that we can help ensure that people and communities in some of the most rural parts of Ireland are all feel and are kept safe. So each day there's a theme, as I mentioned already. So Monday the 22nd, the theme for that day is community safety. The theme for May 23rd is road safety and pedestrian safety. May 24th, burglary and theft. May 25th, personal safety and well-being, and May 26th, farm and rural security. So stands will be held across Donegal at various locations, you know, at marts, at shopping centres, just various locations, and we will be posting those locations to our Facebook page also, so people are aware of them. Property marking will also take place now as part of National Community Week at Clonlee Co-op in Newton Cunningham. That's on Friday, May 26th, between 10am and 12pm. So everybody's very welcome to attend that, and make sure just that you bring your correct air code with you. Make sure that you have the correct details with you before you attend for that. And there's actually other, just took a note before I left, was aware that there's other upcoming property marking events this week. Ballyshannon Mart has a property marking event on the 20th of May, and property marking will take place at Glenties Market Hall on the 18th of May also. We have the details of those events on our Facebook page, and they're also on the Donegal PPN Facebook page.
And just in relation to the Facebook page, maybe it's worth reminding people that it's a fantastic resource that you maintain down there for spreading information out there and what have you, but it is not a contact point in the event of an emergency, Grania.
It's not, and actually we posted to the page last week in relation to this.
That is why I mentioned
it. Yeah. No, and look, everybody's more than welcome to message the page. There's no issue whatsoever. But really and truly, the intention behind the message posted to the page last week was the fear is that somebody may feel that that's a method, in which that they can report if they need an urgent Garda response. They need to ring the station
directly. Can't be monitored 24/7.
The page isn't monitored 24/7. It's checked in on, regularly, but not 24/7. So if they need an urgent Garda response, if it's an emergency, contact 999 or 112, or contact the Garda. The district headquarters are all open 24/7. Like Letterkenny is 9167100. Buncrana is 9320540. Milford is 915360, and Ballyshannon 071 985 8530.
Mm-hmm. There you have it. Okay, well done. I wouldn't have undertaken that off the top of my head.
No, well, I started it out and I thought, can I remember them all? Can I remember them all?
Brilliant stuff. Okay. Listen, a couple of questions, if you don't mind, that came in over the course of the week. A listener asked, if you have a blue badge for disabled parking, do you need a ticket for parking?
Right, well, the quick and easy answer to that is no, you don't have to pay for parking. But the parking permit enables the permit holder, you can park in the designated on-street, the parking bays for disabled parking, free of charge. That's for an unlimited duration unless otherwise stated. So unless there's a sign there to say otherwise, you can park in a disabled bay, a designated bay, free of charge for as long as you like. Generally all street parking places, so any public street parking places or local authority car parks, provide parking at no cost to the permit holder. There may be time restrictions in place in certain locations, so it's important to check that before you park up if you're going to be there for a lengthy period. And just it's important to note also for any permit holders, just the scheme doesn't cover private car parks. In practice, the majority of private car parks do recognise this disabled parking permit as the basis for eligibility to park in their disabled parking spaces. But if you're going to park in a private car parking place, just check beforehand to make sure that payment may be required if it's a private car park. So just double check that beforehand.
They normally observe the rules, but they might have a different rule in place.
Each car park can have their own rules.
Yeah. Okay. Could you ask Garda Grania if they know why pedestrian crosses with traffic lights have two lights on the right hand side and one light on the left hand side? This is similar in Northern Ireland. I'm just curious as to why there needs to be two on one side. Never spotted this myself.
I never spotted, to be quite honest with you now, and I'll put my hands up to this one. This one had me stumped. And I went, I'm going to be totally honest, no, but I went and I checked. It wouldn't really be a Garda issue. You see, it's more a matter for the roads department and the council. But I did endeavour to try my best to find out an answer to this. But I would ask that listener to please contact me if there's a specific crossing that they have in mind that they're referring to, if they wouldn't mind getting back to the station or contacting me at Letterkenny station, because curiosity, as I say, killed a cat, and I'm curious now myself to know which crossing that they're referring to, and I would like to answer their question also. I have tried my best to provide them with an answer. I'm not familiar with the type of crossing that they're that there would be two lights on the right hand side.
Send it in. Okay,
I even send a picture in, because I will do my best. I will find out an answer for them if I'm familiar with which type of crossing that they are referring to.
No problem at all. Right, a big night coming up on May 18th.
Yeah, well, it's at lunchtime actually. It's during the day. Yeah, so
it's night time somewhere, Grania.
The Donegal Youth Awards, Donegal Garda Youth Awards. So the ceremony will take place at Ingrain Theatre in Letterkenny on May 18th. So it's 12:30 that day. They have to be at the theatre. So the overall winners will be announced on that date. They will then go on, as they do every year, to represent Donegal at the national level, which we excel in every year. So we expect no less this year. No pressure. No. So every young person who was nominated will receive a certificate, and we really wish we could declare them all winners. It's so hard each year, and I don't judge the winners, by the way, but I can understand. I go through each form when they come in, and it's a very tough job to pick.
It's very encouraging. We've amazing young people, don't we?
We do, and look at each person has they've all achieved great things in their own way, and they all deserve recognition. So we look forward to meeting all these young people at the ceremony with their family members, and also to meeting those who nominated them, because they were invited to attend also. So we will announce the results on the Facebook page on Thursday after the event. Exciting. Let you know who the winners
Brilliant.
are.
Okay. Enjoy. That's in the afternoon. Okay. Garda Grania Doherty, as always, thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. That was Community Garda Information. It's back live with you after 10 o'clock next Tuesday, and you'll be able to rewatch it on our Facebook page and on Garda Síochána Facebook page a little later on. We'll be back with more after the break.
The Community Garda information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, protecting what you value most. Call today and get your zero-wire alarm system from €299. Sheridan Security, 91-26025. Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate holiday loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Are you worried about trees on your property? Northwest Forestry Services Ballybuffet are fully insured and have over 40 years experience in dangerous tree removal, tree felling, surgery and stump grinding. For peace of mind, call Northwest Forest Services Ballybuffet for a no obligation quotation on 913233.
The groom goes free. The groom goes free. Yes, you heard it. The Groom's Room. Evolve Clothing, Letterkenny Retail Park. The groom goes free. Call in today. Terms and conditions apply.
At Screwfix, we've got low prices to make you go wow. Like the Triton Enrich Electric Shower at just $73.95. And the Irwin Jackwood Saw for only $7.95. Get trade essentials at wow prices at screwfix.ie or in over 30 stores. Screwfix, the choice of champions. While stocks last, prices valid until at least 4th of June. Visit screwfix.ie for T's and C's, delivery charges and restrictions.
Donegal Town Hardware is having a massive fencing and paving 2-day sale event this weekend with huge discounts on paving and 15% off smart fence. Compost decking and timber decking also reduced, plus savings on posts, D-rails and pickets. Paving and smart fence experts will be in store on Friday 19th. That's the massive fencing and paving sale event this Friday 19th and Saturday 20th of May at Donegal Town Hardware.
Okay, you're welcome back to the show. How are you keeping this Tuesday morning? I hope you're all very well indeed. A wooden bench has gone missing 3 weeks ago. It's from the front of NHS building in Ballybuffet. It's brown in colour. There is a reward offered for its safe return. Anyone can contact NHS in Ballybuffet with any information, just to stay on the appeals theme there. Still loads of you messaging in as it relates to Father Paddy's being moved from Kilmacrennan to Ballyshannon. Lots and lots of you. A caller says it's not right for people to try and say to the bishop or else it's wrong of people. Okay, I'll get back to those because I do want to welcome onto the programme now Councillor Jack Murray. Good morning to you, Jack. Thanks for taking the call today.
Good morning, Greg.
Right, okay. Just during the Community Garda information, we had an appeal as it relates to an arson attack on accommodation earmarked for Ukrainian refugees, and it would appear that last night there was another attack on refugee accommodation. What, as far as you've been able to determine, happened?
My understanding is that between 11:15 and 11:30 last night, a firecracker or some form of firework was thrown towards a window at the Flanagan's site on the shorefront of Buncrana, which is obviously extremely dangerous. There's men, women and children in there. Should have went in the window, it could have set the building on fire, and the consequences of that would have been absolutely devastating. So I want to take this opportunity to condemn that in the strongest terms possible. Whoever's done this, the video footage that has already gone viral on WhatsApp, it's circulating. Whoever's done this is not reflective of the people of Buncrana in any way. They're not acting on behalf of the people of Buncrana, and they need to be condemned in the strongest terms possible. But I do think, and this is something I've been extremely fearful of for some time, that people in this community that have concerns that have been voicing them for some time in regards of doctor spaces, school spaces, and raising legitimate questions are being met with radio silence. I've been working with my colleague, Deputy Potter McLaughlin, and both local and national politicians are getting no information whatsoever. And I think the radio silence from government level on this is allowing for anger to fester to the point that it's spilling over like that. And I've been flagging this for a while, and I've been very, very worried.
But even if people are upset, Jack, with what's happening,
it doesn't excuse it.
There's at no point should it ever, even with radio silence and vacuums created by government, there is no point that this should get to the point whereby someone throws a firework at a building that could have set that building on fire. It could have gone through the window and blinded a child. I mean, that's not who we are, is it? As I say, we can contend with government, and we can protest, and we can get out in the streets and have our voices heard, and rightly so. But it should never ever come to this, should it?
No way. And you can see the footage. It's one young man that you can see, quite grainy footage. He does not represent the community of Buncrana, the good people in Buncrana who've done so much for charity, for the community, for the wider. It's despicable. As I said, prior to the Flanagan's Centre being opened for refugees, I would have been speaking to local community neighbours in the area who are concerned about fire safety in that building. That's one of the concerns I would have raised in the past. So to think then that a firework, which is a small explosive, was thrown at that building, the potential that could be devastating. Now, these are men, women and children who've been through a life journey that none of us will ever understand, none of us will ever be able to compare to. And for whatever anger people have at government, and there's legitimate anger at government, it should not be taken out on these people. These people should be allowed live in peace in the only accommodation that they've found safe for a long time. So definitely, there's legitimate concerns. We need to work to address those legitimate concerns, but this is not the avenue to take at all. And I condemn it in the strongest terms possible.
What is an appropriate response now? We've seen one premises set alight. We've seen effectively explosive devices thrown at another. What is an appropriate response? What needs to happen now in terms of, I suppose, reassuring these people that they're safe, or to engage with those that are concerned? I don't know. I'm struggling to some extent to try and contextualise this, but what...
It's a difficult one. I think two things need to happen anyway. The Gardaí obviously need to investigate in the fullest both incidents, because there will be criminal investigations and they need to see that through. But that's what I'm highlighting the point about government. This wall of silence needs to be lifted. People need to be reassured. People in the local community who are decent people that have concerns, that these need to be quelled and addressed. And because the more silence that is met with this, the more people feel that they're being dumped upon at times. That people will get angrier and it's more likely to spill. So I think there needs to be a bit of leadership from government level at this point. Come and talk to people, explain what's going to happen, and don't allow a vacuum for misinformation to continue to spread, because that's where the real danger of this spilling over. And it's a concern I've had for months now, and unfortunately I've seen it come into reality. So I do think there needs to be leadership at a government level just to step in and try and calm this down before it gets worse. We've seen what's happened in Clare last night. We've seen what's happened in Dublin, and its potential to spark all over the state. So people need to stop being treated poorly as well, and they need to be told exactly what's happening in their local community. And if there is a need for additional resources, then additional resources need to be given to these communities.
Okay, thank you for that. I appreciate you coming on with us. The owner of this centre is Christopher Flanagan. Christopher, what happened? Christopher, sorry, I beg your pardon, Christopher. I had the wrong line up there. So tell us what happened.
Sorry. I was just going to bed myself last night, and I got a text from one of the residents to say that the centre had been attacked with a firework. Initially, my reaction was just kind of a misdemeanour of somebody just messing about, but I obviously went down to view the CCTV footage, and when I saw it, it looked pretty bad, It looked almost like he was holding a petrol bomb, only for the fact that we knew it was a firework after the fact. But the most disturbing thing about this is that person threw that firework at it with a trajectory aimed at one of the top windows to get it in an open window.
Sorry, just say that one more time. You're saying
the trajectory was to get it in a window, because if they were aiming for the front door, you probably haven't seen the video footage, but the trajectory is sky high, aiming up in the way up, not in a kind of a horizontal direction, which is what you would do to throw it at someone's front door. But I mean, this has been a long time coming. This project, I started it in October last year, and by about December, a local guy in the town started a Facebook page which was drawing attention to the fact that refugees were coming to the town. And
I just want to be really careful here, Christopher. If you don't mind, I'm going to stop you there, because it's very possible that the way you're going to describe it, and you might have this view, Christopher, by the way, and so I hope you really understand where I'm coming from. But the way you're about to describe this might be an identifiable individual, and then we could end up linking it to this. So, do you mind if we just park that line? And is that okay? Well, if that's okay,
to keep it in generalities, then we had a direct threat on Facebook to have the building burned down in December, and we reported it to the guards. We had another threat on Facebook to have the building burned down in February, and we reported it to the guards. We had a direct threat to burn the building down in March, and we reported it to the guards. The refugees arrived on the 31st of March, and there was one person standing outside with a camera phone watching them come, and reported that it was all men. It was an army of men had arrived in Buncrana, like a call to action almost. Couldn't have been further from the truth. It's all women and children. There's very, very few men. And I had deliberately asked for it to be that way because the area lends itself to women and children and families. So now there's in the centre, there's about 50 people in the centre. There's a couple of pregnant women in there. There's a newborn baby in there. There's 2 small toddlers. So you can imagine when we got up this morning, they're all traumatized now. They don't feel safe in Buncrana. They're asking us, "Is it safe here?" You know, we're telling them, of course it's safe. You know, that it was just a firework. But it reflects terribly on Buncrana what has happened, because the people that we're talking about on Facebook, they put the message out that they had nothing against families. But the incitement to hatred over the last 4 months, has been so bad that it has driven one of these young fellas to do this. And standing there
but in the video... say, Christopher, I understand what you're saying, but I'm sure the argument will be made, that they're expressing concerns about government policy in terms of putting people into certain areas and would not in any way condone this level of action. And I can understand if you feel that one thing has led to another, but I'm sure they'd very clearly say that they aren't against people as such. It's just how it's being done with a lack of public consultation. And I understand where you're coming from, Christopher, and I hope I'm not trying to... I'm not...
No, the only problem with that argument is that everything they've said on Facebook has been mistruths. They have lied. They've told lies from the very beginning that an army of men had arrived and trying to incite anger in the town, which was a lie. It wasn't men. Trying to say that the building had no fire certificate, which it did. And they made it out that it was a cowboy effort. There was just lies after lies. Somebody said there was an open sewer main, that the sewers can't handle the people. And it wasn't. We were building wheelchair ramps as part of our conditions for our fire certificate.
What next, Christopher? What next? You've said that you've been able to, you've tried to reassure the people living there that they are safe. You have had, by your own testimony there, a lot of abuse off the back of this, right? That's going to grate on you. I mean, you're in a contract, I presume. What's the story?
The personal abuse I can handle. What's very difficult is talking to a young mother at midnight who is terrified. You know, how do I say to her, look, I've been living in Buncrana for 46 years. It's a safe town. There's no harm going to come to you. How do you convey that to somebody from another country? You know, these people are absolutely lovely people. You know, they're desperate for work. A lot of them have taken up jobs in the local community already. You couldn't meet nicer people, but some of them are coming from, in fact, quite a few of them are coming from very traumatized backgrounds, very, very traumatized backgrounds. In fact, we had an article in the paper to try and highlight that, to try and diffuse the hatred that was out there, you know. But even that, like, there's a woman in the centre here, right, and her husband and son were shot dead at mass in Nigeria, and she fled and ended up in Buncrana. Now, the replies that came on Facebook were, well, why did you bother coming to Buncrana? Why did you go somewhere else? That's the kind of hatred that's in Buncrana at the moment towards these people. This is a Catholic Christian woman who fled Boko Haram in Nigeria. Her husband and son were shot dead while they attended Mass, and she was in the local markets, you know. So and she's lost her daughter in transit from Nigeria to Europe, somewhere along the way, across the Mediterranean. It's a real tragedy, you know. And she cries every day, and we said we're going to put together an effort to try and find her daughter. She's lost her daughter, lost her entire family actually. You know, to be sitting in a centre in Buncrana and have somebody then attack that centre at night time. I mean, what does that say about Donegal or Buncrana? It's unbelievable. And the person who threw it is wearing a local football jersey. So that reflects terrible on the football club too.
Okay. But you're going to continue with this project, Christopher, I take it, to house these people. Well, you're not going to be discouraged by this.
As I said from the very beginning to a lot of the local residents and anybody who asked me, I said, this is a temporary project. I said, my mum and dad live across the street from us. I said, I go to work every day in the same area. I'm not going to, I was never from the very beginning going to fill this place up with an army of men, as the locals like to say. I never had that intention, and I stand by those words, you know. So yeah, I didn't see the harm in it. The government put a call out looking for accommodation desperately, and I had a building sitting there doing nothing. The pandemic had pretty much killed bricks and mortar retail. It all went online. So you have a building sitting there that used to be called the Sailor's Rest back in the First World War. And I thought, this is a good use of it. Put it back to its use, what it was back 100 years ago during the First World War. And in a time of war, here it is yet again, holding people, offering accommodation to people, you know. The centre's first class. We're making it more and more comfortable as every week goes by for the local residents there. The children in the centre love the local area, you know, they go to the local boxing club, they go to the football club. And to be quite honest with you, there's a lot of people in Buncrana have been very receptive of them. People started giving donations from the moment they arrived. There's people who have brought them into the local exchange there to teach them English. You know, there's been a good reception as well, but there's a fringe element which is extremely dangerous. And I keep telling the guards that this is really, really dangerous if it's not stopped, you know.
Okay, Christopher, thanks for your time this morning.
I understand people, services are stretched. I found myself in Letterkenny Hospital there a week ago. I had a slipped disc in my neck, and I was in the same situation. The services are completely overstretched up there. But the reality of it is, most of the people up there are not foreigners waiting to get operated on. When I was up there, it was all Irish people, you know. So to turn around and say 50 people in Buncrana have overstretched the services and made it unbearable.
I think I know what you're saying. I think people are talking about maybe getting access to a GP service or school places, but I understand the point you're making, Christopher. Thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it. Christopher Flanagan there, who is the owner of that accommodation which was attacked with a firework last night. Christopher of the View, I beg your pardon, that there was an open window and an attempt was made to get that firework through that window. He says it could have been a major disaster and is appealing for this behaviour to stop.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
After a long, hard day, treat yourself to something luxurious. Your drive home. The sleek new Nissan X-Trail has a dreamy, luxurious interior and is now available with e-Power, Nissan's unique hybrid driving system that lets you experience the pleasure of electric driving without the need to plug in. And it's available in 5 or 7 seats, so even the school run feels like a spa break. The all-new Nissan X-Trail with e-Power. Drive it to believe it. Book your test drive today at your local Nissan dealer. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram and have them printed instantly within an hour or in by 10 and ready by 5. See McGee's.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Dunfanny Golf Club on the North Atlantic coast. Come join us with opens on Wednesday and Saturday. Come challenge your game against a links course that will test you. With incredible value and great prizes, put Dunfanny Golf Club on your playlist this summer. To book, call 074 9136 335. Dunfanny Golf Club. Just magical.
086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text that number, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. This is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio with me, Greg Hughes, and lots of people texting in on various subjects. Right, I'm going to... A caller says, please stop with the Ukrainian refugee narrative. It's a smokescreen for illegal refugees and asylum seekers from Albania, Somalia, Sudan and countless other countries, 95 of them young men. Enough is enough, but not in that accommodation that we were just talking of there. Now things have just got extremely dangerous in Buncrana. Centre attacked last night. 50 people, mostly women and children, sleeping there last night. It's an outrage, believes a listener there, and more coming through all the while. Just whilst we line up our next guest, more commenting on the Bishop's announced changes to the parishioners of Kilmacrennan and Father Paddy's departure, which is a great loss. Sometimes we can wish that we could resurrect the past and stay with the present, but the reality is that people and situations change, and we have to adjust our thinking and practice to present realities and respond positively to the challenges we now face. Another, do not allow the work of well-respected Father Paddy to be lost with threats of non-attendance at Mass. This action would undo years of building a strong Christian community in Kilmacrennan. Father Paddy's work is well recognised. Perhaps it's time his wonderful way be shared in other areas needing his input and support. Okay. Kim McMenamum is a member of Buncrana Community Watch. Good morning, Kim. Thanks for joining us. Kim, are you there? You are?
Yeah,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes, I get you now. Right, okay. So you're a member of Buncrana Community Watch. Now, I'm not familiar with Buncrana Community Watch. What is it, Kim?
It's a group on Facebook of a group of people who got together who are really concerned about the mass immigration that's going on. And, they're concerned mostly about that, under the banner of Ukrainian refugees, that other people from other countries are coming in, like from Somalia. There's no war there. There's no war in Georgia, and there's no war in Albania. So there is this insurge of economic migrants, if you want, who are leaving their country because they can come here and they can get, payments, and they're promised everything. Like O'Gorman has advertised in, I think, 6 countries, maybe 7, to come to Ireland and you'll get a front door. Come to Ireland, you'll get money. Well, the money's okay, but in actual fact, these people are coming here. They're being warehoused in disused factories and buildings and hotels, office cubicles not fit for purpose, and these people are treated inhumanely, and they're being warehoused and moved around the country, and that's akin to human trafficking, moving people all around the country just for profit. There's no other reason. Just for profit.
And how convinced are you, Kim?
There is genuine refugees.
Yeah,
there is genuine refugees. Don't get me wrong. There is genuine ones.
How convinced are you that? How convinced are you that these people aren't fleeing oppression or threats of violence? Or, how do we know that these people aren't?
Well, we don't know for sure because they're coming in unvetted. Like, they are totally unvetted. Like, we have reports that they tear their passports and their documents up on the plane and land at Dublin Airport, and they have no documentation. They just say they had to flee, and they get into the country unvetted. And a lot of them, if you look on YouTube, or I can send you links, there's loads and loads of documented evidence that a lot of these people are criminals, a lot of them, and they've committed serious crimes.
But if they don't have any documents, Kim, how do we know they're criminals?
Because they got caught in Ireland, in Dublin, and they've been fined, sentenced, and the Irish government gives them self-deportation documents. They don't get deported when they commit a crime. They're told to deport themselves, which is kind of ridiculous. But apart from that, the infrastructure is not there to bring these people in, right? So there's no extra Garda, no extra teachers, no extra classrooms, no extra doctors, no extra nurses, no manufacturing or construction jobs. No houses, no rental houses, no council houses, no mortgages, no accommodation for migrant victims. So there's absolutely nothing here, even for Irish people. There's nothing for the Irish people. That's why our youth are exporting themselves to Australia and things like that.
So do you believe we should stop? Do you think we should stop all immigration now at this point? Is that what you're feeling?
Well, I think when a country's not fit to do it, when there's no money. Like the money, the inflation rate has gone through the roof because of the pandemic payments and the money printing. And I mean, it's got ridiculous. There's a 250,000 homeless, and these are known as couch surfers. These are young couples who are living with relatives who can't get on the housing market, can't get a rental.
Now, I obviously, Kim,
because there's no Airbnb.
Yeah, I get you. There's a ton of them. As I made inquiries with the guards recently, regularly, asking had there been a particular problem with migrants in terms of crime or any increase in crime or what have you, and the Gardaí said to me that they've had no, not to me personally, to the programme, you know yourself, they said that there's been no peak in crime or assaults or robberies or whatever that they can that they link with the people that have moved here. So is it possible that maybe in terms of talking about unvetted males, military-aged males, and we talk all about that maybe, that it's a perceived threat, the threat isn't there, and we could be whipping up fear and tension and aggravation that could lead to serious instances, Kim? Is there not a bit of responsibility that we have to show? And I'm not saying to you, I mean all of us. Do you know what I mean? When we're having this conversation in our, out and about in private and what have you.
Yeah, well, apparently, the crime rate's up by 75%. I've seen a post there last night in Ireland. So whatever you're hearing from the guards is untrue, and tourism's down by 50% because there's nowhere for people to stay. Like I know that there's a place in Buncrana at the moment, and people who used to stay there can no longer stay there, and people like Airbnbs, they like the privacy of it, and they can't get into hotels because they're always booked. So now the ordinary person on the street, the person in the restaurant, the person in the pub, they're all going to suffer.
Okay.
So the government's throwing this on the people, and without any consultation, there's been no local consultations with people.
No, well, that's policy. I mean, you might remember when there was the controversy over Moville. This is nothing new. We've been doing this for absolutely years. It's not like anything has actually changed as such, really. You might remember the incident in Moville. Not the incident, when people were to be moved to Moville, it was made very clear at that time that there is no consultation with local communities. It's not policy. But I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that we shouldn't be surprised there's no consultation because they've announced that there won't be any. But finally, Kim, obviously we're speaking off the back of this what appears to be an attack on this Flanagan's accommodation in Buncrana. I know in your comments here you're saying you condemn that behaviour. Is that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but just in the last minute we have, what's your response to that action that we saw last night?
Everyone totally condemns that. Nobody has the right to take the law into their own hands. And look, during the Troubles in Northern Ireland, of course, it was a perfect place for psychopathic people and violent people to vent their anger, is join an organisation and go out and do that. So we totally condemn any violent act and anything like that, of course. And what decent person wouldn't? It's the issue isn't about that. That shouldn't happen. The issue is around, the pressure that is putting on the local communities is unbelievable. I spoke to a lady a few days ago, and she could not get her child a place in the school, and she had her other two siblings in there, and she could not get this other one.
But did you hear Mr. Flanagan describe the plight of the people in that building? I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you would be one of the key sort of anti-immigration voices in the Inishowen area. That's not an insult. I'm sure it's not something that you're ashamed of. Do you have a leadership role here to maybe, I don't know, tone down the fear side of things a bit or whatever, Kim? I'm not making any accusations. I'm trying to cover text messages that might come in once you're not on air. Do you know that sort of way, Kim? So, do you...
Well, when you look at all the attacks and all the violence that's happening, especially in Dublin and the large cities, when you look at that, look, it goes unreported in RTE. So people look to the internet to get their news, and people know how to research. And there's all this thing about, if anything's on the internet, it's fake. It is not. Everyone has a camera. Everyone has their own reporter. Things are recorded in real time, okay? And you can see the video footage. You can clearly see for yourself that this is real, and that the real news, if you like, is on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah,
It
but that
is not
footage,
on
if you're talking
TV.
about, but that footage is not I don't, that footage of the tents being burnt down in Dublin. I mean, I watched that unedited, and it's not pleasant, though, is it, Kim? I mean, it's not. I mean,
No, I'm not saying, but it's real. Like you,
it is real for sure.
You're really saying that, and I'm sure RT did report that as well. But I'm just saying, there's loads of instances.
Oh, I get
that
you.
where
Yeah,
people
no, there is a rise in. There's a rise in citizen journalism in this country, and a lot of people see that as their source of news, and I can see it only growing as things wear on. Kim, I have to head for the news at 11. Thanks for taking part in the show. Okay, have a good day. Take care. All right, that's Kim McMenamum there.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Have you got the Bike Week feeling? Bike Week runs from Saturday the 13th of May to Sunday the 21st of May. So whether you want to get back on the bike or try cycling for the first time, Bike Week is for everyone. Enjoy a range of events including community and school cycles, fun bike festivals and more. Visit bikeweek.ie for a full list of events taking place in your county. Bike Week is funded by the Department of Transport, coordinated by TFI and brought to you by the local authorities and sports partnerships.
Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny, your only official Volkswagen passenger and commercial vehicle dealer for County Donegal. Pop in to visit our showroom on Canal Road, Letterkenny. Speak to a member of our friendly team and drive away in your dream Volkswagen. Book a test drive on 074 91 22 333 or check out our full new and used range at connellys.ie.
Mr. Blue Sky. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €40 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Cutting through the spin. The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Okay, still another hour to come on the show. Stay right where you are, but let's get a news update at 11 o'clock. It's good morning again to Donna Marie.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. There's widespread condemnation after a refugee centre in Buncrana was last night attacked. It's believed a firework was thrown at the building on the shore front between 11:15pm and 11:30pm last night. The extent of the damage is unknown. Meanwhile, Gardaí continue to appeal for information into an arson attack on a proposed housing complex for Ukrainian refugees in Buncrana. At around 11:45pm on Thursday last, Gardaí were notified of the building on fire in Lisfannon. Substantial damage was caused to the building by the fire, which is believed to have been started deliberately. A man has been injured after being assaulted by another man in Letterkenny in the early hours of Sunday morning. The man is alleged to have been set upon in the Lower Main Street area between 3am and 3:45am. His injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The MICA Action Group has published an update on draft square metre rates. Following last week's meeting with Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien, the group was told a meeting to inform them on final rates would take place. However, that has not yet happened. As a part of a number of clerical changes announced by Bishop Alan McGuckian in the diocese, parish priest Father Paddy Dunn is due to take up the role of parish priest in Kilbarron on June 24th. When the move was first announced, there was huge disappointment in the Kilmacrennan area, with a petition set up in a bid to retain Father Dunn, with a candlelit vigil also planned for Friday evening. A bin was set alight on the Ballylosky Road in Carndonagh on Wednesday morning last. A resident was alerted by her neighbour that the refuse bin she had left out for collection the night before was on fire by the road at around 6:15am. The bin was totally destroyed as a result. Buncrana Gardaí are appealing for information. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with the latest at 12 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Donna Marie, thank you very much indeed.
Hi, my name is Julie. I have a disability and work in a busy cafe. I love meeting the customers, the buzz, the chats. It's a really great place to work. So, if like me, you're a young person claiming disability allowance, you'll be invited to chat about the employment and training supports available to you. Taking part is your choice, but it could be a great opportunity. For more information, Visit gov.ie/work supports disability. Brought to you by Intro, a Government of Ireland initiative.
Okay,
This is a genuine story voiced by an actor.
I think I speak over that every single day. Kathleen and Tony McCarry in Fanad. It's their silver wedding anniversary today. Have a lovely day from Eddie and Rose and family. My mum Angela Friel from Buncrana turns 90 today. Is there any chance it could be mentioned on the radio? Of course. She'd be chuffed to pieces. She's been an avid listener since Highland Radio started broadcasting, from her daughter Annette, Breda, Doreen and Karen. Have a wonderful birthday, Angela Friel, listening to us in Buncrana. It's great to have you with us. Listening to us. Do not allow the work of well-respected Father Paddy to be lost with threats of non-attendance at Mass, etc. This action would undo years of building a strong Christian community in Kilmacrennan. Father Paddy's work is well recognised. Perhaps his time, his wonderful way, be shared in other areas needing his input and support. And I know that Father McKeever and Father Chambers will look after the parish and its fine people very well. And although the people of Termon are being selfish and not making it easy for Father Paddy, much as I empathise with their loss of Father Paddy, they do need to understand that a change of spiritual leadership brings a challenge and revitalisation to the parish, and for both priests on the new appointments. We live in a time where the church has seen a decline in vocations, and mergers are essential. To maintain that, the laity are adequately served by the clergy. All right, thank you for that. The Bishop has said he hears the voices, but I feel that he is not listening to the clear and overwhelming message that the people of Kilmacrennan want to keep both their priest and parish. Bishop Allen must press the pause button today and take time to engage with the people. But again, he has been really clear that that's not the way it's going to be. I share the sorrowful sentiments of the Kilmacrennan parish. I've known Father Paddy for over 30 years, but I see where the bishop stands in a way. Father Paddy succeeded in doing something amazing for the Kilmacrennan parish during his time there. He took up the baton at a very dark period for the parish, but he restored the light in a big way. So let's be glad for him and let him know we're all just a phone call away. And still, they continue to come in. Thank you so very much indeed for all of your messages today. Now, Martin McDermott is Community and Social Enterprise Assistant Manager with the Donegal Local Development Company. He joins us now. Good morning, Martin.
Morning, Greg.
Good to have you on the programme. Right, okay, so we're talking today, are we, about innovating communities? It's a free training and mentoring project. What's this all about, Martin?
Yeah, well, the Innovating Communities project has been going on for a few years now. Delivered by Ice Cream Architecture, but supported by DLDC through the community development team and the leader team. Various communities in Donegal were invited to take part in various training and mentoring programs, one of which that we're talking about today is Dunfanaghy. So last year, from mid to late last year, the community in Dunfanaghy were invited and taken part in a training kind of program where it was like maybe weekly or fortnightly courses online, where they were identifying maybe a particular challenge in their community, and then ways then that they could find solutions to address that or to overcome that. So the community in Dunfanaghy have been going through that process with ourselves. We were co-trainers on the project, and now we've got to the stage where their survey in the community has been complete, and we're now ready to launch the results of that survey to the people in Dunfanaghy.
Brilliant. What was the interest like last year in this process? Because it's a different way of doing things, isn't it? It's you have to have a good level of buy-in for people to sort of fully engage in the process.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was great support and interest initially, like with lots of things, Greg. So where there are, and it has to be from the people in the community, and it's led by the people in the community. So you do have a lot of interest at the start, and then it's a commitment. So there's a big time commitment for people, and it's voluntary. So people are giving up their time, and sometimes the courses were in the afternoon or they were in the evening. And as I said, they were online. Some we did hold in person too, and we did try to get together physically when possible. And then throughout to the end process, we still had a good representation there and commitment from people that they wanted to see, as the course title was called, a shared vision for Dunfanaghy. So they wanted to see the process, they wanted to see it through, and they wanted to get to this result stage now, where they can actually have, here's the evidence, we've done a community survey, and this is what people are asking for. This is people are identifying, and then let's now take it to the next stage, which is what we're going to do on Sunday, which is launch the results and then invite people to become involved in what we can really achieve short and long term.
Yeah, and I presume you want the people of Dunfanaghy to be the first to hear it on Sunday, so I won't ask for any details, but maybe give us a sense of even maybe generally speaking, when we have this type of engagement, is it about an area's infrastructure? Is it about parking? Or is it about facilities? Is it about sewage? Like, what kind of stuff falls under the sort of the umbrella of this whole project, generally speaking, about an area?
Okay, well, each particular challenge in the innovative communities was different, and it was actually specific to the community. In Dunfanaghy, the survey was focused on there was quite a few key areas, obviously the demographics, but also like the development of Dunfanaghy, the services that are existing or you'd like to see existing there, employment and recreational opportunities. So there was a lot there. And from the survey results, once the results have been collated and they've been analysed, it's really brought what we call a roadmap. It's really brought together like kind of key areas of a roadmap, and from that, then it's the different directions that you can go. So the key things that we're looking at is the development on Dunfanaghy for the community, the services that people would like to, and this is all like future projects that would like to see, recreational activities, the community activities, the services, and so on. So that's kind of what has been kind of identified. And the purpose now of this event is to say, well, hang on, these are now what's been identified. Where do we go from here? So this is why it's called a roadmap, as in like we're at a junction now. So let's do, we can identify that this is achievable short term, this is achievable long term, and who's involved, or what are the vehicles that we need to kind of go down that road.
So presumably then, say for instance, if it were we want a playground here. Let's just say that for an example, right? And that was one of the priorities. So what happens next? I mean, obviously then you don't fundraise and build it yourself, presumably. You have to start engaging with the council or whomever is the responsible authority. And I presume you would hope, would it, that then the local authority or whomever's responsible gives extra weight to these types of proposals because of the process that was gone through to get to where we are now?
Yeah, well, that's it, Greg, because I mean, what we do in DLDC with the community development team, we support the local community groups, so we can help them and we can support them with assistance that we can provide. But it's really driven by the local community and by the groups there. So what they have now is evidence. So we can support them, say, with maybe direction for funding or applying for funding or helping them with that. But when you go through that process, and lots of people will be familiar, that you need to identify the needs. So where's the evidence? So here is the evidence now, because a very recent survey has taken place late 2022. So we now have the results of that survey to substantiate, hang on, this is now what the people are looking for, and that will help you lobby for, if it is, as you say, for the local council or whatever the funder is. Yeah. So it's that evidence now that, hang on, we have the need here, so let's now use this evidence to address now the development. And it may be fundraising, it may be looking for funding. So everything you're saying is it's all like it's not. Yeah,
but I have not had sight to this, but I'm really conscious of the fact that if it feels like we're talking about it before it's publicly announced, that's why I'm trying to be general and pick random things. So the Dunfanaghy Community Survey and Roadmap will be held in Holy Trinity Parish Hall on Sunday, this coming Sunday, the 21st, from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. DLDC, Martin, who represents them, are facilitating the meeting in conjunction with Dunfanaghy Family Resource Centre. So what, other than this being laid out, the findings of the survey and the roadmap, is there a discussion at that point, or what's next from there, Martin?
Okay, so on Sunday, well, come along and you'll have some refreshments. So we're providing, so you can have a cup of tea, you can have a chat, you can meet other people, like people that were involved in the survey. Like the survey was not all residents. Like you may have people that maybe are working in Dunfanaghy, but they live outside the town, or holiday home residents, or visitors to Dunfanaghy. So it's really for all the community, not just the local residents. So come together, let's have a chat. We can launch the results. We can discuss kind of what is achievable, who's behind, who wants to get behind it, who wants to become involved, and from there, it's really making a plan. So it's a community discussion really than like a launch. It is a launch event, but it's going to be opportunities for those attending to have their say, maybe contribute to what projects they'd like to be involved in, and then whatever supports are available for that. So yeah, it's really just having that opportunity to contribute.
Yeah, and I think you've done a great job in articulating it, but I think it'll all become far more apparent when people turn up on the day, because there's a process to be gone through, and a cup of tea and coffee and a biscuit as well.
That's it, and a chat.
You might even open up the good box of biscuits.
Well, someday.
All right, Martin, take care of yourself. Thanks very much indeed. Martin McDevitt, Community and Social Enterprise Assistant Manager with DLDC. That's the Dunfanaghy Community Survey and Roadmap. It's being revealed in the Holy Trinity Parish Hall this Sunday from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Hopefully there's a nice big turnout there. Right, so we posted about someone spotting what they believe to be aliens in the sky over Letterkenny last night. I'm pretty much convinced it's the SpaceX Elon Musk satellite. They're astonishing things all in a line. But anyway, some of your posts on social media. Bernie says, if we were asked to go with them, you should have, as it can't be any worse than this planet at the moment. Anyway, they won't hang around here for long. That's if they were aliens. I don't think so. Patsy says, seen something, but was around 10 o'clock. Wasn't an airplane. Checked flight radar and flight scanner. I seen Starlink. I'm confusing it with SpaceX. I seen Starlink before. Watched them from Dunlewy around New Year a few years back. This wasn't Starlink, they say. Right, okay. Mary says, though, definitely Musk's Starlink satellites. They can be seen as a string of lights at times, depending on the position of the sun. There are about 3,500 of them in the sky. John says, this is what I seen too, a line of satellites passing overhead. So some aliens would bring a bit of excitement, wouldn't they? What would you say? What would you want from aliens if they did turn up here on this planet of ours, planet Earth? I don't know. Hey, listen, huge reaction to a lot of the stuff that we've been carrying on the show today. Stay tuned, because we've got so much more besides, and your comments coming up after the break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
The 9 till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Are you looking for a full-time, permanent job in Donegal? As Zeus in Letterkenny continues to grow, vacancies now exist for tooling design technicians, maintenance technicians, and shipping inventory operators. Go to workatzeus.com to apply. Zeus is a family-owned company that offers great pay and benefits and a fantastic work environment. To learn how you can join the Zeus team, visit workatzeus.com today. That's workatzeus.com.
At Allstate, we provide flexible working options that make work for you. You can choose condensed working or a flexible start or finish time. Choose to work from home or the office whenever you want. Don't miss out on the moments that matter to you. Make work for you. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
Avril, stop playing with the Bunsen burner. Harry, does he look like he wants a face tattoo? Teaching kids what's right and wrong is important. That's why Bank of Ireland are teaching over 418,000 students in primary and secondary schools the financial literacy skills that will help them get it right in later life. Because your financial well-being is our priority. Register your school today. Search Bank of Ireland Schools. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at
17 minutes past 11. Paddy Common is of the AA Ireland, the Automobile Association. He's with us now. Paddy, good morning to you. Good to have you on the show.
Good morning to you.
Right, your latest survey shows what many of us are seeing at the pumps, and that is the price of petrol and diesel coming down, and they're at the lowest level for quite some time now.
Yeah, they're lowest since about September of 2021, and look, it's an asterisk beside that lowest. I mean, they're not low by any means. And unfortunately, they're artificially low as well because of the reduction that we had on excise duty, which is unfortunately about to go back up again. So so for anyone who is filling their car, this is probably as low as it's going to be for some time, because from the 1st of June they go back up, and all the way up. When we get back to the 31st of October, they'll be back quite a bit again, unfortunately.
Yeah, but because of the rising price of the core product, the government did make us something like an extra 180 million last year, didn't they, in terms of revenue for their tax on petrol and diesel? Surely they could give us a break for another wee while.
Yeah, you would think, you would hope, but no. Look, they always said that they were going to do this for a short period of time, and as well as that, while we have Green Party Minister for Transport, we're always going to see a situation where there's no real incentive for petrol or diesel, unfortunately. So I think there probably would have been some internal friction about the excise duty reductions at the start. So we know we were unlikely to see that for a long time. But look, fuel prices are reasonable now. But look, they're going back up, as I said, quite soon. 6 cents per litre for petrol and 5 cents per litre for diesel on the 1st of June. Then 1st of September again, we see another 7 cents for petrol, 5 cents for diesel, and then it's rounded up on the 31st of October by the final 8 cents for petrol, 6 cents for diesel. So they will go back up.
And what can we see on the markets in terms of oil prices? I think there's been a slight increase of late. Is that eventually going to come down to the pumps? In other words, we'll see the tax increases, but also the actual price of the product increasing, do you think, as we head into the winter?
Yeah, inevitably, as you said, there was a slight bump over the last couple of weeks. It was down sort of $74 a barrel, but it has gone up again. But look, you're right. Unfortunately, we seldom see these things coming down dramatically and very quickly, but we will see them increase again. A part of the benefit, I suppose, in terms of the diesel pricing was that so-called mild winter across Europe, which meant that diesel wasn't, Europe is slightly awash with diesel because there wasn't such huge demand for it. But look, it's a blow, I guess, for people who are looking at lots of expensive bills. Even EV drivers aren't escaping this.
I was going to ask you, what's the story with the growing number of EV drivers out there? Do they see the same level of fluctuation in their running expenses?
They wouldn't see the huge fluctuation, I suppose, but they've definitely seen increases. And for people who have an EV, and we're beyond now the stage of the early adopters who really were into the finer details. We're now starting to see EVs becoming quite mainstream. We are seeing quite vast differences between how much people are paying for the electricity for their car. So if you're the average EV driver, we reckon spends about €1,100 per year charging their EV, but you could be as low as €450 if you're using a smart meter charging at night time at certain rates, and you could be as much as €2,100 for the same car if you were using the public charging network, which is pretty much akin, Greg, to using petrol or diesel. If you're paying 76 cents per kilowatt, that is the same as putting petrol or diesel in your car proportionally and cost wise.
Yeah, and I think really we have to lose this notion that you go green to save money. Do you know what I mean? It was a big selling point, but it's just, and I mean, obviously then we could have an argument about the overall cost and all that kind of stuff, but it's not really the incentive with reduction in grants and, the running costs not being terribly dissimilar.
Well, you're right. And when we've done surveys in the past about why people choose EVs, primarily the main reason is people hoping to save money. The green credentials are somewhere down the list, and that is starting to balance out. And if we ever got to a stage where domestic electricity was as much as 76 cents per kilowatt, there would be no cost benefit, especially to driving an EV.
All right, listen, great to have you on the programme. No good news, but anyway, look, it is what it is. We can't bury our heads in the sand either. All right, Paddy, thanks very much for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Paddy Common there, who is of the AA Ireland. Right, let's get to some of your comments here. The Irish government have deceived its people. They're bringing mass amounts of people, most unvetted. We should have a right to know who's in our towns and villages. We also have to look after our own people first. Yes, help those vulnerable people from war-torn countries, but a lot are coming from countries that the Irish government advertised in, which is not far from any war. They are economic migrants. We have to have a better infrastructure for anyone and it coming to our towns and villages. We are at breaking point. We heard from Deputy Padraig McLaughlin and others recently that there's lots of people. I've never been vetted in my life, to be honest with you. I've never had to be. But, you know, they are photographed, fingerprinted on arrival, all of them. And Gardaí now tend to be at the door of the aeroplane, checking if people have passports or not, particularly if flights are coming in from parts of Europe. And I suppose, again, you know, I'm not here to influence one way or other. We've heard different views on the programme today, but, you know, we're looking to attract people, say, for instance, to come and work here in IT and to come and work here in our health service. And a lot of them are from overseas. And I just wonder, with the some of the language and mood as it relates to people, particularly those of a darker skin colour, let me put it like that, would they be inclined, if it keeps going like this, to come here at all? Regarding non-nationals not being vetted, irrespective of anyone's view, people must recognise that vetting only captures those who were convicted of any wrongdoing. Our vetting system is nothing but a money-making racket. Why can't we be vetted, say, annually or every few years and carry a card like a safe pass? Ridiculous that an SNA, for example, needs vetting in each school. Surely in a world with such technology available, there should be a more economical and quicker process. And you know, we have a serious problem in this country with the abuse of children, historic, and it continues. And we're seeing record-breaking figures, and we're seeing our children suffering greater than they ever have with mental health issues. We've got 200,000 children in poverty. I think I would love to see a lot of our attention and worrying and lobbying and Facebook and other groups as well, also campaigning to get those children sorted, to get them looked after, to get them protected. There's a great danger right now just in Irish society amongst Irish people, and we're always looking for what's on the way. We should really be focusing, I think, too, on what's currently going on here. 086 60 25,000 if you have a view on that, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right, Rory O'Sullivan is Executive Engineer with the Central Technical Services Road Design with Donegal County Council. Good morning, Rory.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having me on the show.
Good to have you on the programme. Right, the Council are working with the Department of Transport and are inviting people, members of the public and other interested parties to participate in the first public consultation for the Letterkenny Southern Network Project. What is this project?
Yeah, so the Letterkenny Southern Network Project aims to develop the transport network around the south of Letterkenny town. Some of the goals would be reducing traffic congestion, supporting compact growth for Letterkenny and encouraging modal shift. So the project is really about developing the transport networks out of the Swilly.
All right, okay. And you're looking for people's input to see what's required, what they feel might work. Is that the purpose of this process?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose for the listeners, it might be useful just to understand what stage of the project we're at and what they'll get from the public consultation. So we brought on an engineering consultant just at the beginning of the year. And the first major step was to identify a study area. So for Letterkenny and for the Southern Network Project, to give an idea, the study area in the east would start approximately at the Dry Arch roundabout, stretching to the west then roughly to Ballymacool Park, north roughly around the Neil T. Blaney Road, and then coming south approximately 1 kilometre from the Lake Road. So that's the study area that the project is working within. So the first stage, and one of the things that will be discussed during the consultation with the public this Thursday, would be the constraints identified within the study area. So that would be stuff like the existing infrastructure, services, future projects, things like listed building structures, and I guess the topography as well is kind of important if we're putting in place network improvements where you have steep gradients. It becomes unfeasible for putting in roads, pathways, things like that.
Now, I mean, obviously, a lot of people would have an interest in this, not to go to Letterkenny, but maybe to head to a different part of the county through Letterkenny. So is this about, so I'm clear, is this about how traffic is moving in that area? Is it much more than traffic? Is it about maybe what options there might be there in terms of some sort of public transport connectivity, or does it encompass all of that?
It's pretty much all encompassing. So I suppose the first three goals that I mentioned there, I can touch on each one if you like. The traffic congestion.
Yeah, go
first.
ahead. Yeah.
There's sort of two avenues to that. Traffic congestion, the existing network. A lot of traffic that's travelling through Letterkenny. Because of the existing network, you have a lot of unnecessary traffic that's travelling through the town centre to move through Letterkenny. So the project will look at opportunities and avenues to reduce that, which would have a big impact on Letterkenny town centre itself. The other avenue of reducing traffic congestion would be looking at putting in options like park and ride and park and stride, park and walk, whereby traffic or people are trying to get at the town centre, but by putting in infrastructure and facilities within close distance to the town centre, you're still reducing traffic within the town centre itself. So that would be the traffic congestion side of things. You mentioned to the west of Donegal, so again that kind of comes through the existing traffic network, whereby coming from the west, traffic is generally geared and diverted through Letterkenny town centre at the moment, so it's a bit of a barrier to steady flow of traffic to the west and from the west. So I suppose the other points then, compact growth. So if you were to look at the development plan for Letterkenny at the moment, there's large areas of land just south of the Swilly that are identified for growth in terms of housing and businesses. But at the moment, the network capacity just isn't there south of the Swilly. So the project will look at things like additional river crossings of the Swilly and improving the existing network to facilitate compact growth and the housing. The forecasted population for Letterkenny is set to go up significantly over the next number of years. And then the last topic on modal shift would be putting in place facilities that would allow people to move away from sole car dependency for transport in and around Letterkenny. So you'd be hoping to look at avenues like public transport buses, and then improved cycle and walking facilities for houses that are within close distance of the city where it makes sense.
All right, scooters and what have you too are going to be a factor of the future. Okay, there's a lot to talk about. It is a public consultation event taking place in Letterkenny this coming Thursday between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m. It's in the Letterkenny Public Services Centre there on the Neil T. Blaney Road in Letterkenny, and presumably it's run over the 8 hours for people to drop in when it suits them. Rory, is that the you don't want us turning up at 12 and sticking around to 8? I hope.
Oh, you're very welcome if you want, but there'll be
you'll get the big bucks to do that. I'm not doing 8 hours.
There'll be a public display for 4 weeks following the day of the consultation in the foyer of the Public Service Centre itself, whereby people who can't attend on the day can come and see all of the consultation material, and the project questionnaires will be there as well. We also have a project website, www.lsnp.ie, and there'll be links to all of the consultation material, project links if people want to get in touch by email. And it's just an opportunity, I guess, for locals who are directly impacted by the study area, and then the wider community in Letterkenny to come and view the project, to get a feel for the timeline, and I guess from our point of view for us to portray the sort of transformative potential of the project on Letterkenny.
All right, listen, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it very much. Take care of yourself. That is Rory O'Sullivan, executive engineer with the Central Technical Services Road Design with Donegal County Council.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
What's the difference between the BMW iX and iX3? What's the range of the BMW i4? How do I charge at home? Do I need a wall box?
If you've got questions about switching to electric, then join your local BMW retailer on May 20th for our Find Your BMW Electric event. It's your chance to speak to the experts and test drive an all-electric BMW. Search for your local retailer to register your interest. Test drive subject to conditions and availability.
This summer, enjoy the tastiest burger in town for less at Kelly's Diner, Letterkenny. With Jake's famous burgers, there's your choice of burger, beef, chicken or veggie, all freshly prepared, with your pick of delicious toppings and sides. Selected burger deals every weekend. Find the best value burger in town. Jake's Burgers at Kelly's Diner, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Donegal Vintage and Working Day Association present a charity truck run and strongman competition at the grounds of Reform Mart this Saturday, May the 20th. There's a full timetable of events including sheep shearing, truck show, vintage car and tractors, strongman, truck run and many more other attractions. Plus jiving from 7:30, followed by Jimmy Buckley and his band from 10 till late. It all happens this Saturday the 20th at Reform Mart.
A caller believes Kim McMenamin is speaking for a large majority of Buncrana and Inishowen people who are just as concerned about what's going on. Also, how many actual Ukrainian citizens does Mr. Flanagan have housed? Their families, they're not necessarily from Ukraine, is what he said. Why are the people coming into Ireland still being referred to as Ukrainian refugees? Even Mr. Flanagan admitted that one of his residents is Nigerian. I've met several Ukrainians who openly admit that they have never even been to Ukraine. Wow, okay, that's interesting. There's different people coming for different reasons. Ireland should have the same policy as the Czech Republic, not one asylum seeker allowed, pure and simple. We signed up to an agreement internationally some time ago. It's not really something we can get out of. That's just the reality. We signed up to it. Doesn't matter who's in government, that agreement is there. Business people going to have worst tourism season ever this year. I hope the government helps them out, says another listener. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts. But I think we all have to, as much as possible, talk to each other rather than just having as much as we can. What's all the fuss about aliens? Sure, they're already here in Leinster House? Wow, okay. Hi, what was the two black helicopters over and around the park in Letterkenny yesterday around 4 p.m? Interesting you should say that. I saw the same two, must be the same two helicopters flying in convoy across Donegal town at probably about 5. Don't know where they were coming from. Probably golfers. There's quite a lot of helicopter traffic into a couple of golf courses around the county as well. I suspect that's what it was. I don't know what else it might have been. Let me see. I want to make sure that everyone feels their voice is being heard here today, but we have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of comments. It's astonishing what happens here on the show every day, and we really do appreciate every single one of them. Lots of people talking about priests being moved around. A caller says, at the end of the day, the role of a priest is to guide, instruct, comfort and save souls of parishioners, not people. Please pursue popularity nor fill pews. Priests... Okay, I can't make up. There's a word that's the wrong word. It's auto-spelled check, and I just can't work out the word it's supposed to be. Caller says, I accept the idea of moving priests if there was genuinely good reason. In our parish, a priest had to retire when he didn't want to, and the person put in his place begged not to be put in such a huge parish, and he had health problems and wouldn't fit for it. The bishop went ahead with his plan, and the result is unfair. Caller says, this priest works for the bishop, so what he says goes. Get on with it. Okay. Hi, regarding Father Paddy, we are so blessed to have such a wonderful man grace our lives. Of course, we don't want to let him go, but we can't be selfish either. Father Paddy has to do what he thinks best. I lost my brother and Father Paddy was a gem. There are so many ways he has been there for so many people, such a special man with a very special gift. So let someone else be touched by Father Paddy's gift. You see, and what happens too is, you could have a priest. Father Paddy could have confirmed someone and that person has a connection with him and then they're getting married and want him to be the person, but that's not how it works. Decisions have to be made and they have to follow the bishop implied too there's a bit of spiritual guidance there as well, and if that's your thing, you know what I mean. It's not right for people to try and say to the bishop or else it's wrong of people they believe. I know they're not sure how the bishop makes decisions, but we have a priest in our parish for 22 years. I can't read the rest of that comment because that person would be easily identifiable and it's just your opinion, but I've read it, okay, and it's noted. I just have to be careful that we don't make the rest of this. It's not bad, it's about holidays and stuff, but I just want to make sure that the person's not identifiable. But we've read it here. I appreciate the sadness of the people of Kilmacrennan. However, as Bishop Allen said, this is a greater call to growth for all. It is about discerning God's call, and we have to trust that the decision discerned by the bishop and priest is guided by the Holy Spirit. Another, it's like any job, people move on. It's not quite, but let's take your point. My prayers are for Bishop Allen, who has have to make tough decisions. If people only go to Mass because of the priest, then they should stay at home. Another, have not been to Mass for a year because of priest changes, numbers dwindling. It's all very sad. Another, people fail to see that Father Paddy has accepted this move, but still people will... it's an expression of love to some extent too, isn't it? Or to a great extent. Carndonagh Community School now is not the time for changing school uniforms when families are struggling to feed themselves. Never mind bring in a school uniform 2 years after releasing the last one. Sometimes what we have to do, and I'm not here to preach, is you have to read the room and understand the pressure such a change might have on lots and lots of people. What about putting labels on cans and bottles warning alcohol may cause violence and societal problems? Yeah, I suppose if you're going down the cancer route, that's a fact as well too. Back to the school. I have 3 children at Carndonagh Community School, so 3 skirts alone will cost me 150. Never mind the new jumpers. Struggling family as it is. Never mind this carry-on. I sincerely hope this uniform does not go ahead. Also, one of my girls is in 5th year, meaning a new uniform for her final year. Ridiculous. A lot of mad parents out there. Yeah, listen, as I say, read the room. Counsellor support group for bereavement. Greg, I came across yesterday a support group called Cruise based in Derry. They offer free and confidential support services no matter when the death has occurred. Please tell your listener I am thinking of them. And that's someone who was bereaved looking for a support group. They wanted it around Letterkenny, but maybe Derry's close enough for them. If that person is listening today, I have a number there that we can pass on to you if you want to join that group. So Varadkar's partner apologised for his text sent during the coronation of Westminster at Westminster and says it won't happen again. What does he honestly believe he's getting? Another invite? His childish action has only reinforced people in England's stereotypical view that the Irish can't behave themselves even at the highest level. All right, is that true? Listening to your show, heard that guy saying nothing for the young people in Ireland. We advertised 2 or 3 jobs. We never received any interest in any of them. Another, I don't think people are objecting to housing Ukrainians. It's the asylum seekers, mostly young men, who people are concerned about. Why are so many coming to Ireland? We've always had an influx of them. The numbers have been greater the last while, but a lot of people are being displaced for various reasons. As I say, I mean, how long is it since we were talking about Moville and elsewhere? Letterkenny, do you remember the big hoo-ha there? It's been going on for ages. Good morning. Kim's exactly right. We do not have any more space left for asylum seekers or refugees. We need to see our own citizens helped first and then see who we can help. Another, what about the Irish who are threatened with violence? What country can they flee to and get what they're getting in Ireland? I don't know, but we flee everywhere. I mean, we're talking about our Irish people deciding to move to other countries. There are homeless people in these other countries as well. There are more Irish people in Australia than there are homeless in Australia. Someone over there could be arguing, send the Irish home and house the Australians. I don't know. They could. Maybe someone is, I don't know. I know we're over there working and it's somewhat different, but you could get a local over there that could take that notion. All these men coming in without any documents and without families, scary, they believe. Look what happened in England. Most of them turn into criminality. I don't think you could say most of them are, but I understand where you're coming from. Right, okay. Read the school uniforms. I don't get the problem. A uniform is supposed to be the same for everyone, not some wearing leggings and some wearing flares. Nurses, guards, etc. wear standardised uniforms. I wonder if those crying loudest about it have the same problem, paying out for other unnecessary stuff for their children, such as phones and fashion. But bottom line here is that it's being changed to mark 50 years of the school being opened. Why? I understand it's to mark a particular event, but it's putting families under pressure. And we can't presume that the families under pressure are spending a fortune on phones and fashion as well. There is a lot of people that seem to want to deny that others are living in very difficult circumstances. We get it a lot onto this programme as if the real heartbreaking stories we hear on this programme are not true, that people are lying. How could anyone really be living in poverty in this country? That's the kind of impression you get from some of the remarks. But anyway, we put a poll up on Instagram, by the way, huge reaction to it, heading towards 1,000 votes. We asked the question, with the high cost of living, we asked, have you noticed a high increase in prices with your weekly shop? Not surprising, 90% of you said yes, massively. 2% says not really, a minority. 8% saying it differs week on week. So 9 out of 10 of you listening to this programme and interacting with us on social media, 9 out of 10 of you have seen a massive increase in your weekly shop. And another poll just to catch up on. 7 in 10 adults have no experience working on a building site or learning trade skills. We asked, have you experience in the above? 14% of you say yes. I'm one of those. I worked on building sites for 6 or 7 years. 86% of you said no, never got your hands dirty. My hands are just about recovering now. Of course you got your hands dirty in different areas, you know what I'm saying. I'm only joking. All right, okay. Greg, smart meter installations. Could you please make people aware that by signing up to this installation, the meter readers will lose their jobs and that the products provided with the meter will cost extra to the normal bill? Thanks. Some of the nighttime saver deals that you can get with a smart meter, I don't like them because the electricity during the day is more expensive. Yes, it's cheaper at night, but I don't want to put my washing machine, dishwasher or dryer on at night. I don't really use them much anyway, but you know what I mean. Everyone's going to end up with a smart meter anyway because it's only a year or two until they say that your meter's playing up. It doesn't work with the current infrastructure. We're going to have to put a smart meter in. So you can resist for now, but it's probably going to be futile in the end. We don't want to see anyone losing their jobs, but I see people every day queuing up at tills in shops where there are no people working. I remember 2 or 3 or 4 years ago there were campaigns, don't use them. Don't now. Everyone uses them, it seems. Not everyone, sorry. A lot of people use them. So people put up token brief resistance, as well-meaning as it is. But it just seems that things just end up happening anyway. Do you ever get that feeling? I'm not saying we should give in, but...
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Have you got the Bike Week feeling? Bike Week runs from Saturday the 13th of May to Sunday the 21st of May. So whether you want to get back on the bike or try cycling for the first time, Bike Week is for everyone. Enjoy a range of events including community and school cycles, fun bike festivals and more. Visit bikeweek.ie for a full list of events taking place in your county. Bike Week is funded by the Department of Transport, coordinated by TFI and brought to you by the local authorities and sports partnerships.
At Allstate, we provide flexible working options that make work for you. You can choose condensed working or a flexible start or finish time. Choose to work from home or the office whenever you want. Don't miss out on the moments that matter to you. Make work for you. Search Allstate NI Careers today.
Join the team at Homeland Letterkenny on Friday 19th and Saturday 20th of May for in-store paint weekend. Enjoy exclusive offers in-store on both dates, and you can talk to our expert Dulux colour consultant from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. on both days. Meet special guest the Dulux dog on Saturday 20th of May from 12 till 2 p.m. and speak with our experienced paint centre team with a paint mixing service available in-store. Visit homeland.ie for more information.
And just for clarity, in relation to our commitment that we signed up for, we voluntarily signed up to the EU Relocation and Resettlement Scheme. It was originally set up in relation to the migrant crisis in 2015. We've never been forced by the EU to take in refugees or immigrants for that matter. It's something that we chose to do, and because of the Lisbon Treaty, we could choose not to do it as well. And David on Facebook's pointed that out as well. So just to recognise that that is an option that Ireland has. Greg, I'm open to contradiction, but to my knowledge, is Ireland or Denmark signed up to taking immigrants? We are not obliged to take them. Yes, sorry, you've by pure coincidence just handed to me. We have opt-in, opt-out. We decided to opt in to take them, but we can opt out if we were to so wish. And as I say, I believe that's a provision of the Lisbon Treaty. But presumably the government, wanting us to be good Europeans, decided to voluntarily sign up to that commitment. A caller says, Irish people have jobs to go to. They do not go to leech off other countries. That's a terrible statement. These people that come to Ireland are deserting their own country that probably needs them to build their country, not to cast it aside. It was not a terrible statement because it's not intended that way. My point is that it is possible that you could get a group of individuals in another country that could turn on us at some point. And and I did recognise that we're over there working and contributing. But I also says that it is possible that someone could make this connection between us in houses in different countries and homeless people not having houses, which is a fact. But I don't think it was a terrible statement because it was not meant with any bad intent. It was just to say that the shoe at some point potentially could eventually end up on the other foot. Hi, Greg. Can you imagine the Australian treating our young Irish the way the people of Ireland are treating true war victims? And I think it really comes down to whether or not you believe the people coming to Ireland are escaping something that is of great threat to their life, or they're coming here because the money's good. That seems to be where much of the debate lies. Could you ask him, Greg, when Lurgy Brack is going to be sorted? It's a disaster. You have emergency services using side roads because they can't get onto the roundabout at the bottom of the hill. He couldn't answer a direct question like that because it's not under his remit or the purpose of the interview, but you've put it out there now and someone else can have their view as well. To give hope to these people, the people of I've read that one already, I beg your pardon. Since our parish priest left, not a young person is seen at Mass. Such a loss to the youth. And although the people should think of Father Paddy and not of themselves, I feel for the new priests. I hope the new priests understand that this is an outpouring of love and affection towards Father Paddy and not a reflection on them. And I'm sure they're around long enough to understand that. And they will, when they take over, I'm sure they'll reference that. I'm sorry to hear the sad news that Father Paddy Dunn is to be removed to another parish. During COVID and to this day, a lot of people from our parish still follow Father Paddy on Facebook and churchservices.ie with his Mass and rosaries. He's a wonderful, caring priest. Wish we had such a great priest in our parish. Our priest has not the time for his parishioners, with him being busy elsewhere outside the parish. We've got no Sunday funeral services, no Sunday christenings, and our Easter and Christmas services have to fit into his busy schedule. He's been here quite some time now, and in that time we've left and went to other parishes. So weddings, christenings and funerals have been taking place in other parishes, including some of my family. Please God, Kilmacrennan can keep such a great priest, but I don't hold much hope with what the bishop said. He won't want to be seen to change his mind. Please do not say... Okay, I get you. No, that's no problem. All right, thank you. Hi, Greg. Sad to hear about another incident regarding protest against asylum seekers. The government are to blame. Our country is on its knees in regards to the health service and housing crisis, and they still have the door open to these people, some genuine, others not. It's happening all over the country, these protests. Last week, Dublin, now Donegal, and County Clare. Tractors are blocking roads in protest. Just look at Sweden. They opened their borders. Now the country is in mayhem. Shooting in school grounds out of control. Enough is enough. Our own people are being neglected. There is no vetting system or anything in place. The Gardaí cannot cope with the added workload. Time to put strict regulations in place or our country is in dire danger. Let me see, where else? It's shameful behaviour for our representatives at the coronation of King Charles. Well, Matt is not our representative. He's Leo's guest. He's not. He doesn't represent me anyway. He was over there in a private capacity. But I'll read on because I think the texter references that. It's shameful behaviour for our representative at the coronation of Britain's King Charles. I know Leo said Matt was there as a private citizen. I don't know whether any other private citizens who were invited. The bypass road at Bonagee over the Swilly seems to be lost in the 10T project and 4-lane project. The town bus has been a failure. That comes in from Daniel, who's not too enamoured with everything with what is going on. Right, another caller says, I was looking to buy a house. It was recommended that we carry out a mica test, and the results came back 3%, which is well under the given spec. So we were going to proceed with the purchase, but then someone said that most insurance companies are no longer covering houses with any level of mica in them. If we had owned our home and previously had it insured before the test, then they have to keep covering it, but not with a new buy. Does anyone know what the situation is with this? So they got a test. Low levels of mica in the concrete, though at this point you really should be checking for other mineral. But I take your point. Can you get insurance with 3% mica in a block? A few weeks ago, I had an energy provider at the door and signed up to what I thought was a fabulous deal. I was told I had 14 days cooling off period if I changed my mind. Having read the small print, I realised it wasn't such a hot deal and went to cancel it, thinking I was well within my 14 days cooling off period, only to discover the 14 days started the day the fellow was at my door and not from receiving the contract. Hence, I was tied in and couldn't get out of it. We went together as a group and only by chance I discovered a few of my neighbours signed up for what they thought was the same great deal. We went together as a group and eventually they had to accept we had been hoodwinked and let us out of the contract. I did want to warn others, if it sounds too good to be true, think carefully. It most likely is. So that's an interesting one. The 14 days cooling off period was from the day the fella got you to sign at the front door, not from when you actually received the contract from the provider. So well worth keeping that in mind. Morning, Greg. I did that school run every morning and evening for 12 years. This is the first time I've been doing it. Parents need to take some responsibility too. The number of cars that come out, the exit at the top. This is Lurgy Brack National School, by the way. This is at the top of the big hill heading out of Letterkenny for those not from the area. I did that school run every morning and evening for 12 years. This is the first year I haven't been doing it. Parents need to take some responsibility too. The number of cars that come out the exit at the top and turn down the hill when 2 lines of traffic are coming. I witnessed it so many times. Where am I here? Oh, yeah. How there hasn't been a major incident there, I don't know. Well done to Jimmy Kavanagh for highlighting this. Okay. I'm not going to have time for that, I don't think, Caroline. So get out there and bring me something else. Thanks very much indeed. I've about a minute and a half. Good morning, Greg. I've been inquiring about the supposed door-to-door provided by Local Link for people with mobility issues. It seems there is no such service provided in my area. I was informed by Local Link that there is no demand for the service. Therefore, a service is not provided. I am, for one, in need of this service. How many others are out there and have been told the same thing? I think this is in and around the Kilmacrennan and Milford area. I'm open to correction on that. They've been told that in that area there isn't a door-to-door service. They go on to say that people with mobility issues in our community need this service, which is paid for by the taxpayer. Why is it not being provided? Greg, perhaps you could inquire on our behalf, and maybe something will be done about it, given the wonderful influence you have when raising such community concerns. Well, that's a very nice comment of yours, and I really do appreciate it. We've contacted Local Link to find out what the situation is there. We don't know off the top of our heads, but we'll find out if there is a demand for a door-to-door service in those areas, and if there is, why it's not happening. Passport delays. Are you suffering big passport delays? I know there's a few people getting caught out here. This listener applied for a passport in January, still not received it yet. Listen, I would check in with that because when I say I mean we applied for a passport recently, and I got it done in the local Garda station, which isn't a 24-hour Garda station, and I was sitting there waiting for it to arrive, as you might. And it turns out that the passport office had called the Garda barracks 5 times. They called them 5 times seeking to speak to the guard who witnessed the form, and they couldn't get hold of them. And it kind of threw the whole process out again and delayed everything by months, and any sort of half notions of plans that we had went out the window. So double check. And, you know, local TDs are pretty good for this type of stuff as well. But if you have not received your passport from January and it's a standard renewal, there's something seriously amiss there. If it was a first timer for a baby, maybe there's some sort of a arguable reason as to why. But I think if it's just a standard-ish renewal, it should certainly have come through by now. Rightio. I just want to remind you, by the way, that if you've missed any of today's show, and it was a particularly interesting one, and thank you to all of you who listened to the show and the hundreds of you that watch the show on different platforms every day. It's really greatly appreciated. But if you missed any of the program, or if you want to catch up again, don't forget we podcast the show on our website. It's broken into 3 parts, into 3 hours for you to listen at your leisure. It's also available for you to re-watch back on our YouTube channel, so you can watch back the show every single day, and most of the previous shows are there as well. And also, if you struggle to sleep, let me help you, because the show is rebroadcast at 1 o'clock every night for the lots of people actually that listen then. And if you do and you want to text in, by the way, just text or WhatsApp 086 60 25,000 and we can carry your comments over into the next morning show. But that's